All right, good Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome in. We are off and running on a Thursday, 1 week to the NFL draft.
Yes.
The Richie party, I'm probably going to get a little text here at some point this morning with a 1 week reminder of it'll be our 10th year that the fellas have gone to Richie's house, Richie and Papillion, his house, and we've watched the NFL draft.
There are
draft books everywhere. There's the NFL Network on one TV.
Really?
There's ESPN on the other. There's Packer fan there. There's Dolphin fan. There's Chief fan. And then there is diehard Giants fan who has the 3rd overall pick and would make a big mistake if they did not take the next Micah Parsons.
Well,
just my little Mel Kiper for you.
The future Hall of Famer, the future Ring of Honor, or whatever the hell they're calling it for Colorado, they're in Boulder today to look at Shador to have a little private workout.
Yeah,
little gunslinger for the Giants.
I think so. I don't know if you do anything special for the draft. You probably did last year.
I did.
Last year, you might have been a national holiday for you.
It was one of the happiest days of my life. I
Wow.
mean, it was not only on the first pick, but on the 10th pick as well.
Yeah.
It was an incredible day. It was a win for me.
You'll have the 10th pick again this year. On a side note about your Chicago fandom, can't take the heat, huh?
Thank you. Seriously, appreciate it. We get a ping pong ball now. We have an opportunity to get Cooper Flagg. I appreciate your Miami Heat for doing that.
Thank you. That was the best offensively we've looked in a long time.
Do I think that us losing to the Miami Heat and having the 12th best odds in the lottery draft is going to take us out of NBA purgatory? Absolutely not. But hey, we have an opportunity to do that as opposed to going to Cleveland and getting run over. So I'll take it.
Do you think that from now on, when the Bulls play in the play-in game, it should be on NBA TV?
I think whenever the Bulls play, period, it just should be on.
What's the scream?
The Bulls had a great finish to the year.
They had
Billy D went into the Hall of Fame.
They had a fine finish to the year.
They won 15 of 20. Not everybody can say that. Ask the Charlotte Hornets.
I don't care. They were the 8th seed.
Well, you were rooting against your team anyhow.
Kobe White. Yes, I was. Because
picked up where we left off yesterday.
You're a weird fan.
Kobe White and Josh Giddey looked really, really good at the end of the year. You can look at them and be like, hey, we could actually pair these two together and have a foreseeable future. Other than that, everybody else is expendable. But they refuse to blow it up because Jerry wants everybody to still come to the games and he doesn't want to have a poor product because they had a poor product forever.
Your fans do come to the games.
We go. We still are one of the best, one of the top selling teams in the league year in and year out. And it's a lot to do with tourists too, because a lot of people want to go to the home of Michael Jordan.
He doesn't play there
that was
anymore?
That was kind of a carry for a while, but we still have a very passionate fan base.
People still go there because they want to see the Bulls, or they just want to see the area.
The statue.
Well,
we agreed. It's a beautiful arena, and they're gonna do a lot with the area around it to turn it into Bulls Black Hawk Town, or whatever the plan is. But that, I don't know.
That current area is crappy.
That's the problem.
They don't have. Well, they had one, and he tore his ACL in the most just heartbreaking fashion in a playoff game where he shouldn't even have been playing in that playoff game. And ever since then, they've been trying to recapture that magic. And then they did seem like they had a superstar up and coming, but he absolutely hated the general manager and he hated the coach. And so we ended up trading him to Minnesota, and then he became your problem. And now he's the Golden State Warriors savior.
Hey, screw you playing, Jimmy. We're still playing. We're going to Atlanta.
He's playing too.
He won't get out of the first round.
He's 7 seed, baby.
They said he left cancer in Miami, and we're supposed to be Pat Riley 30 years in. So last night. We could have a 10 seed make the NBA playoffs.
Has that
I don't think
happened?
that's ever happened.
I don't think that's happened before. Hey, it'd be big. I mean, I don't like Atlanta's team at all, so I would probably give you guys the edge in that regard. And
good last
night. Eric Spoelstra, you guys look good last night. And Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in the league. Once again, this is all to have the honor to get absolutely boat raced by the Cleveland Cavaliers. So hey, you make your playoffs. You have your 5 games.
Might win a game or two.
Enjoy yourself. Have a good time. And then, hey, take the 16th pick. I'll take the lottery draft pick. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
It was 71-47 at halftime. I was wondering.
Were you confident?
Well, then the Bulls made a run late in the third quarter.
They cut it to 10, I think.
And I thought, but Tyler Hero was really, really good. That's as it's been a strange year for Miami with everything that's gone on with playing Jimmy and the roster. But that was the best they looked offensively. So I wouldn't be surprised they went to Atlanta and won. I would also be very, very, very surprised they beat Cleveland. Also, late last night, my other NBA team.
Yeah.
No offense, but when your last resort is, let's see what Doug McDermott can do to help us at his stage in his career, the Kings are screwed.
Man, Reggie
and they
Theus
were
wasn't
screwed
coming
last
in.
night. And then a terrible ownership group got rid of the general manager about an hour after the game. So the beam will not be lit in Sacramento. But we'll talk about the Dallas Mavericks and the play-in because there was a lot of discussion about the play-in last night. No, there wasn't. All right, coming up on the show, Steve Sipple will join us coming up at 9:15, and then Brian Edwards will stop by at 9:45. We'll get his first-hand account of being at UFC 314 in Miami last Saturday.
And it looked like I watched it. It was a really, really good card, being honest. And it was some really competitive fights. And Volk's the champ now.
I was more interested in the people that were there. It was kind of a who's who.
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. When they do all those like pan arounds of who's there and like the superstars or whatever, I go to the bathroom. I go and get a snack.
Well, one of them was very prevalent.
Well, the president?
Yes.
Okay. Well, he's there a lot. He's at a lot of those.
That's his crowd, man. He likes NASCAR and he likes UFC.
And he likes
they love him.
He likes wrestling too.
Well, because I think he probably is still getting a little money from wrestling, right?
From the NCAA.
I mean, hey, Evil Knievel. He is a professional wrestler in the White House. Isn't he? Is that a good way to describe it?
I mean, he is a WWE Hall of Famer.
I know.
I mean,
the bar for the Pete Roses and the Donald Trumps to get into the WWE Hall of Fame is kind of low.
I'm pretty sure Mike Tyson's in the Hall of Fame.
What bar is lower to get your jersey retired at Colorado or to be a non-real wrestler and go into the WWE Hall of Fame?
I think to be a non-wrestler because you have to there's some of these guys they're there for one match.
Yeah, isn't it? You like appear like at WrestleMania and
you're good. You're good. Literally, if Tyson showed up to one WrestleMania, he's a Hall of Famer. Donald Trump shaved Vince McMahon's head at a wrestling. Pretty sure. Isn't Floyd Mayweather a WWE Hall of Famer?
Wouldn't surprise me because he made an appearance.
He fought the Big Show. I think it was like WrestleMania 24, if I'm not mistaken. Like if you just show up once, Cyndi Lauper, she's a Hall of Famer as well.
What about Lou Albano? Is he in?
I don't know.
He should be.
Probably. They're all probably in there. Everybody's in there. Even Michelle McCool's in the Wrestling Hall of Fame this year.
Really?
Come on.
It is WrestleMania week, by the way. Coming up on Saturday and Sunday. I got a great stat for everybody out there that wants to not believe that WrestleMania does not exist. Yes, it does exist.
It's incredible.
So people, I will not, at the Richie and Papillion draft party, that'll be celebrating its 10th year. I hope we have special, gifts and things.
Memories from past
draft
parties.
Do people, because I don't, but a couple other people at this party wear jerseys. Like, is this a jersey moment to watch the NFL draft a week from today?
I don't know if it's a jersey moment, but I definitely don't think it's like a non-team moment. I still think you should wear some gear. Like
I'll be wearing
think you
black.
need to, yeah.
Why? I was listening to Stephen Jones yesterday on the Fan in Dallas. You got a plan.
Concepts of a plan? Yeah.
Wow. Good morning to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are we back?
Dak looks like maybe he might be making progress.
And if my aunt had
that for a couple of years now. No, it's a team.
One thing I would say about the Cowboys is the players do love Jerry. The fans may not love Jerry, but
Stockholm syndrome is a thing.
I think the players love Jerry. Like players talk very highly of Jerry. Fans don't talk very highly of Jerry.
Blink twice.
That's kind of backwards, right?
It's very backwards.
I really do think
the Clippers did not talk glowingly of Donald Sterling.
Well, I would hope that most of America or all of America would not talk glowingly about Donald Sterling.
I feel like that's a bad example. I think the Cowboys, no joke, are probably in a really good position to walk out as like the big loser of the draft.
There we go.
Wow. Wait a minute, Jimmy. Yesterday,
no.
Yesterday was a positive day for you. Now we've gone back. We've gone back into the hole. We are into the black hole.
A real friend stabs you in the front, not in the back. I get it.
Like I'm looking at the mock drafts and I'm looking at the team needs.
I like your honesty. This is why we're friends.
I'm seeing a lot. They want the Tet McMillan guy or I don't know how to say his last name out of Arizona, who is the top wide receiver. Well, minus Travis Hunter in this draft, but like last year's draft. and previous drafts wouldn't be that high. And then the other mock draft that I'm seeing you guys pick is Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina, who is a good draft pick, but still, in relation to what the tackles are doing, offensive tackles, defensive tackles, the edge rushers you can get, like your team needs just do not fit this draft at all, unfortunately.
Wow.
So
this is
is just kind of.
This is why I'm more interested in what happens with your teams and the reaction the next day. And I forgot about Richie's party. Well, I look forward to hearing tales about that.
So your party, it's going to be a long night for you.
No, we just do the first round.
Mm-hmm. But still,
I know. I'm there. I'm in it to win it until about 9:45. I mean, we're not picking last this year. We are picking 31st, and we may trade up.
Well, you could. I mean, you did last year.
Winning teams do winning things.
They traded up one time. They got this quarterback. I think he might work out. Maybe more as a restaurateur,
jumping
in Kansas
to
City than a
conclusions
professional football player. I know. I
still remains to be seen.
Mahomes' career is early. I mean, I'm not ready to
He's up 10-0 in the first half,
like GOAT or anything like that. Because I mean, it's early. I don't know how long he's going to play. But yes, the draft party is a banger.
Do people leave after their pick, or everybody
stays?
Wow,
everybody stays. It's a good party.
That's once a year. You can't leave early.
Are there any like really incredible moments of like a team? Like, was there like how was
about my friend Richie and the Giants' incompetence drafting, because we always video Richie right before the Giants draft pick. Now,
it's fair.
He is okay with either Shador or Abdul Carter.
Okay.
So anybody outside of that, and Travis Hunter as well.
Sure.
Anybody outside of that, he may lose his mind.
So
which is great viral content.
How was the Daniel Jones moment?
It was a little bit rough. It was not as rough as the Eli Apple. So Richie is from New York and moved to Omaha. And he is a diehard, and I mean a diehard Giants fan, who probably wear the 56 Lawrence Taylor this year because his next Micah Parsons will be drafted at 3 with Abdul Carter from Penn State.
And you two are going to Chiefs Giants next year, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Nice.
Yes, we are. I'm going back home to watch the Giants and the Chiefs. So that's our party. But it's a week away. Now, here you go. 2 years from now, and we all have vested interest because we have our team in the draft.
Yes.
If you're looking at a local, probably you should sit out Thursday and wait till Friday to see where Ty Robinson goes. And then, maybe a quiet Saturday outside of Fedoni. But 2 years from now, will we have a heavily vested interest in the first round of the NFL draft around here?
Yes.
I would think so.
Okay,
yes.
This is everybody's opportunity to call your shot. 2 years from now, in the 2027 NFL draft. Have they done the site yet?
Not yet, I don't think.
Okay.
No.
Because this year is in Green Bay. I imagine some locals are going to drive up to go to the draft party.
I'm pretty sure they announce it like the day before.
Before the draft?
Pittsburgh.
No. Like the next year's.
It's Pittsburgh.
Oh, it's Pittsburgh next year.
Ooh.
So next year's Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Okay.
27, they've not announced yet?
Not yet.
Okay. So call your shot.
Very
2 years from now, will we have and I mean heavily vested interest in the first round, which has been a little bit barren around here in the first round? 2 years from now, yay or nay?
Yay.
Okay.
You just said first round, so yeah.
But I do want to say,
that'd be a hell of a moment, and that would mean that things have worked with a quarterback.
DC and Denver are the finalists for 27. Denver seems to be the likely choice.
What would be incredible, though, is if you had Dylan Raiola go in the top 10 or go somewhere in the first round and be heavily talked about this entire draft cycle. And then also, on top of that, you had another guy also contending to go in the first round, whether it be in the mid first round, whether it be in the late first round. I think you do, like, I'm just throwing it out there. And I know it's a very small sample size, but like they're incredible athletes. Like, you hope that a guy like maybe Willis McGahee comes on and is like becomes an incredible pass rusher. And he's looked at as like a, hey, mid to late first round guy like maybe Vincent Shavers, who becomes a really good, linebacker and rusher as well. He's a mid to late first round pick. What if, and this is just a hypothetical, right? You got a guy like Williams Nwaneri, like comes on, develops into the superstar, the 5-star that you hope, and he's also in contention to be a first-round draft pick. Like
good.
It would be
all good.
It would be an incredible moment to have Dylan Raiola like be a first round draft pick and be in that top 10 discussion. But man, if they were to get another guy too from this kind of crop of talent that they have on both sides of the ball, that would be, that would be insane. That would be incredible. That'd be like a holy crap, things are working out here.
2 years from now, I bet if that was going to happen, that there'd be a first round pick and the draft was in Denver, probably the station would make a trip.
Oh, absolutely.
To a show. I mean, I wish we would have. I went to the draft in Kansas City, and it was insane. There were so many people, and
sure,
you go once, you experience it, and you're like, you know what, this is a great thing to watch on TV. But kudos to the NFL, what they have turned this into. Because I saw yesterday,
it's more fun.
I saw mock draft 18.0.
Jeez.
But if you look at the betting odds in Vegas, essentially the top 9 and even 10th pick, even though with the Bears pick, a lot of places have Genty to the Raiders.
Yeah.
And if not, he doesn't go to the Raiders, then he goes to the Bears at 10. Most of the picks in Vegas are locked in according to the odds, like 1 through 9. And if you don't get Genty, a lot of the Vegas odds are Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State.
I would absolutely love to have Tyler Warren on my team, and it would fit the mold of what Ben Johnson's trying to do. And if you look at, what he did in Detroit, going out and getting Sam Laporta, like now Warren and Laporta are very different in the regard that Warren is a much more versatile tight end. But I think that right now you could probably say, looking at this draft, your top 5 more than likely is locked in. You have,
I would even say top 7. I wouldn't go top 9 as Vegas has it. I would say I would go as far as 7.
If top 7's locked in,
the Jets are going to draft an offensive lineman that people in New York will not be able to pronounce his last name.
So he is incredible, and he's a right tackle who has the ability to be a left tackle. That's Membu. If you think 7 is locked, I would go as far to say that the first 8 picks are locked in, because then I think Jalen Walker is going to go to Carolina. I think the draft gets really interesting at 9 with New Orleans. Now,
when Aaron Rodgers walks out,
Todd McShay is adamant, and I love Todd McShay. He is adamant that Shedeur Sanders is not going 9, that he is not going to be the 9th overall pick, and went as far to say,
does that mean Aaron Rodgers then to the Saints, because he didn't want to play in Pittsburgh? You look at his comments towards what he tried to offer up Minnesota.
Well, yeah. Well, it'll be interesting. Because
how did Derek Carr get hurt, by the way? He was taking a family picture in front of the Eiffel Tower like a week ago.
He's got shoulder issues. I don't know what it is.
Did he fall off the Eiffel Tower?
I don't know. I think it just
gets pretty crowded up there.
I think it's an Andrew Luck situation. Andrew Luck kind of went through the same thing, where it's like he had that shoulder injury, and then he had to go to Turkey to figure it out.
So he went to
never figure it out.
So Derek Carr took his family to Paris to have shoulder surgery?
Maybe.
Because they were on a trip. They were taking pictures.
I don't think he's got surgery.
Eiffel Tower is
I think
fun.
he's discussing a second opinion right now. But apparently it's up for debate right now whether or not.
That's good.
Jackson Dart plus 550, by the way, is pretty good odds for the Saints at
Jackson
9.
Dart is Will Levis without an arm, but probably a lot better without wild turnovers. There's my breakdown of Jackson Dart.
Should have been playing the draft music.
I know you like the on-site location NFL draft. Like, I get it. You had a great time. You said they've made it more fun.
I'm missed sorry the hotel ballroom.
I kind of miss Radio City.
Yeah, well, that just shows you the growth of the NFL.
Yeah,
that they've gotten out there.
While we're at it, I miss Saturday at 11 a.m.
I miss a lot of things. Here's the problem, though. When you have large crowds, for anybody that's going to put on a festival, a music festival, like if we're going to Coachella this weekend, or we're going to Maha, or we're going to any of the others,
what's the one out
festivals?
Firefest?
No, we're not going there.
We're going to Fryfest?
I'm worried about that. Here's what you got to do. Because, does anybody go to a the festival that was what is it? I-35 festival, music festival over in Iowa?
No, I have not.
Everybody has the same complaint. If I'm running a festival, you know what I'm doing? I am making sure there are enough places to go to the bathroom.
I was just thinking, porta potties.
Yep, porta potties.
Lots of them.
Lots of porta potties. You know what? I think when you're putting together your list of performers, the porta potties has to be second.
Because bold letters, the Lollapalooza.
Look at this.
Look at Ballmer when they built the Intuit Dome. He was proud about his
smart
bathrooms.
People take care of women, and you have more women's facilities than you have men. Because if you get the woman, the man's going to follow, and if you gotta keep the missus happy. So if she's got a place to go and it's clean, So you're going to have a good time.
Okay.
But most people that go to these, like I'm hearing stories from Coachella, and I would like to go to it because they have a great lineup. And I would just like to,
the people watching would be off.
I wasn't around for Woodstock, but I've watched many documeraries, and I thought, you know what? I would have liked Woodstock. That. I would have been right there.
That's my kind of people.
You could have been in 99.
I probably would have made it home, but you got to have the porta potties. So that's the problem in Kansas City is they had such a huge, and they had a lot of porta potties.
It was a literal S show.
But here's a little tip I'm going to give to you.
Yeah, I would.
You cannot have enough porta potties. Like you cannot. Like tailgating. I want to see a whole army of porta potties.
Sure.
And even if you have too many porta potties, you don't have enough.
My bowl experience in Memphis a couple years ago changed it.
You're joking there, but I do think you're entirely right. That what is the harm of getting another Al's Little John? You know,
you're going to need more than one.
You're going to at least 4 or 5. Need more than about 25. There are some. Let me tell you something right now. When I went to Notre Dame and I was tailgating, and I went to one of those games. They had an incredible porta potty lineup. Okay, it was all the way down.
Where do you think
the parking lot? Here's my thing.
Go?
I'm not. I think that I'm not a music festival guy. I have no interest in that. I have zero interest.
All right,
in dressing up nice, spending all that money. Some people have to sleep in a tent on a campground if you're going to like Country Thunder. Like I don't want to spend
in
money.
Manhattan. Oh, yes.
I don't want
Country Stampede.
Yes.
I don't want to spend money on an
That's
Airbnb.
Part of it. That's part
I don't want
of
to be
sleeping in a tent.
The people watching is
fantastic. A bunch of people. I don't want to be dirty
boots,
and disgusting,
small
and
shorts,
hungover and drunk. It just sounds like
that was college.
It just sounds like an environment to just not have a good time. Like a lot of people like promote it like it's the best time ever. Everybody comes back and talks about how like crappy it was.
That sounds like
I never hear like
on
positive
Street. It was wonderful.
I feel like you just go to those festivals.
They went to a festival that
did
not have enough facilities. Okay, so texter Rachel says they got to be unisex and hand sanitizer is a must.
Oh,
like
she's right.
That is true.
If you look at the history of now, us Iowans used to call it a Kaibo because the main company in Iowa that did porta potties was Kaibo, so everybody in Iowa called it a Kaibo. If you're from Iowa, we call it a Kaibo. So I use that phrase, and people are like,
"So weird."
It's Kaibo.
Why is it a Kaibo?
Because the name of the company.
Oh, okay.
It's like a Davenport.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay.
So you go elsewhere and they're like, oh, it's a porta potty. But the porta potty has really grown because it used to be just disgusting. Okay. Now it's like high scale.
Yeah.
It's like it has grown. It's a lot larger.
Charge $1,000.
So you can turn around easily in there. And also I've understood that the new porta potties, like if you're gonna rock it and tip it over to have fun with your friend in there,
shout out Philly
there are
people.
some locks and stuff like will prevent you from wearing the porta potty. That used to be a popular thing over at Iowa State. Like once or twice during a football season, somebody would
tip over a porta
potty with somebody in there. Like they used to, like if an Iowa fan went in there, like Iowa State fans would.
Ooh,
that's got to be the worst thing to happen to you, like at a sporting. Like, how do you recover?
It's definitely down there.
Just a sporting event. I would think that would rank up there pretty high as
pretty.
You know what?
It would suck here.
Maybe this life thing isn't for me.
You got pee and crap and
usually what's in there?
Sanitizer all over you. Just you're reeking the entire time. You got to get a whole entire wardrobe. You got to.
It's like if you get sprayed with a skunk, you gotta burn your clothes.
You got to buy a whole new. Like you're absolutely right. You have to get rid of every single piece of clothing that you're wearing.
Should be a felony.
I just think
if you tip over at
least a misdemeanor
or a Johnny on the spot is another.
If you mail poop in a box, it's a felony. So yeah, so you can't do that.
What?
Yeah,
if you just poop in a box.
Seen Entourage, Ari Gold. Well, you maybe haven't, but
I have.
Yeah, do it in a box, send it to an enemy. You can't do that. There are rules against that.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't go to music festivals. They don't make me happy.
All right.
Pooping in a box. What do you mean? How do you find out that pooping in a box is a misdemeanor? How the hell would you get caught with a misdemeanor pooping in a box?
Well, there's DNA.
Would you just poop in a box and then you're walking around with it and then a police officer comes up to you and goes, what's there?
You mail it to someone.
Oh, have you ever seen the what's that? The Help? That's a great movie. It's a great movie where she makes the chocolate pie and she poops in the pie.
All right.
And gives it to the lady she works for. That's a great scene.
This is a terrible discussion.
This is my dude. Point is, he doesn't want to go to music festivals.
Terrible discussion. All right, we take a break, come back. Look at that. Random Mike's going to start off the show.
That was a random segment.
Also, Hardly knew you. Hardly Gilmore has committed to Kentucky.
Yeah, what a surprise.
Wow. All right. We will share our favorite Hardly Gilmore and Jack McAllister moments at Nebraska as we roll till 10. But Hardly's going back to Kentucky. I wonder how much money he'll have to go back to Kentucky. All right. Random Mike's coming up next. A little bit later, Sip and B. Ed stops by. It's all part of a Thursday edition of Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. All right, Gary, Matt on a Thursday. came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
All right, CM Punk.
You see that guy died the other day? The guy who plays that?
Roddy Piper, he died in 2017.
No, not him. Well, the gum, yes, but you made me think of the line from Dazed and Confused where he said, yeah.
So today is Roddy Piper's birthday, born in 1954, passed away in 2017.
Also,
and that was one of his many famous lines. With this being WrestleMania week, WrestleMania 41 in Vegas.
Very happy. It's typically WrestleMania week this is a late WrestleMania week.
It is.
Typically it's around April 4th, April 5th, April 7th.
Got away from the Masters
type area. They got away from the Masters. I don't know. Good matches, not a ton of hype, but sit back, relax, and enjoy the main event of Saturday because that'll be the best match of the card.
All right. On that note, good transition here. Good morning, Random Mike.
When I was listening to that discussion
Which
of
one?
porta potties and major events and all the permutations, all I could think of was they got me on hold listening to that.
Will you have anything to add to that conversation? Yeah.
Do you like porta potties?
Have you been to a music fest?
It's a good reason to avoid it. But here's the question I got for you guys, including your wonderful producer.
Oh,
what is the sport, the team sport in America, the American team sport, where one position can make the most difference out of any sport?
What time of the year?
Yeah.
Regular season or postseason?
Or both.
Okay. I'll
take the position in American team sports, the sport and the position where one person can make the most difference.
Goalie in hockey.
Ooh, that's a good one, especially in the playoffs when they get hot.
I think I was going to say goalie in hockey too. The thing is just because the next one that I think of
make an 8 seed unbeatable
is quarterback. But the problem is that you can win a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer. You can win those Super Bowls with lower tier quarterbacks. You go through the history of Stanley Cup champions with goalies. You remember the goalie runs. Those goalies go on incredible runs. Anthony Niemi, Jordan Binnington, Corey Crawford, Andrei Vasilevsky.
The goalie thing, I always think of, I believe it was 2003 when the Ducks rode a hot goalie all the way to the Stanley Cup finals. And after that, to me, the next thing would be if you get dominant starting pitching in the playoffs, it can be unbeatable. You look at the 2001 Diamondbacks, they had just Schilling and Randy Johnson were almost unbeatable, at least at home, enough to get 4 wins. So, but at the end of the day, I always, a goalie. And it's that time of year where one gets hot and you're like, where'd they come from? And that's usually why.
Well, those are all good answers, but I think we're watching it right now in Nebraska. I think it's the softball pitcher. If it's a great softball pitcher, more than any other, whether it's point guard, quarterback, goalie, where one person, if they're great, can make the most difference because they can do it virtually every day.
Yeah, you still need a number 2. I'm with you on what Jordy has done, and I'll go a step further. You might be able to say not just a pitcher in softball if you have a Jordy Ball because she's hitting more. Mm-hmm. She's in the regular lineup when she's not pitching this year, and you've seen the result. I mean, she might be the best all-around player in the sport of softball. Her WAR, by the way, I know you like WAR, Mike. Her WAR is the highest in softball across the country.
Incredible.
Yeah, and stay healthy. I mean, she's probably the fastest player on the team. A fantastic base runner.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Tom Chattel sat down with her, did a story in the World Herald this morning. It's a really good. She's more than just somebody that wears a number in the 90s and pitches and plays first base for Nebraska or is a designated player. She got a larger calling, which is not a surprise if you followed her and know her.
No, absolutely. I'm got a pretty good source on that, and that's exactly right. Yeah. But I don't know if you guys do this. When I'm following a team, sometimes I'll Google them and go to news just to see what's being said about them, Mm-hmm. And I did that with the softball team. And let me tell you something, beating Northwestern like they did is big. Northwestern they're good, and they've humiliated us. Yeah. And they are traumatized what happened, just to see what the Northwestern press and the student papers at Northwestern. And I don't know if you watch, was it Big Ten Plus, where they got Northwestern students doing the announcing, and they're usually really good. And they are traumatized, and they can't believe, all acknowledging how great Jordy Ball is, and Nebraska's for real, and that this could be the year for Nebraska. So I'm Googling the news, and there's an article about right near the top, as if it was just written, on what they went through with Rhonda Rivell a few years ago when she was on that long suspension, and for some reason that was near the top of the list, and I think it was just an error because it was from a number of years ago. And when you read that, you realize how close she was to being removed. But are you familiar with that situation?
Yep. Bill Moose stepped in. People wanted Rhonda out,
and a lot of students, apparently, a lot of the players, apparently.
Yeah, it was a turbulent time because Jordy had decommitted. There were other things going on. They put her on suspension, and instead of, like if this was Eichhorst, she would have been gone. Because Eichhorst is a lawyer and he doesn't want to deal with that stuff. Bill Moose stuck by Rhonda, and you're seeing that it's panning out. That they got Jordy to come home and what she's done to the program, and I mean they got a shot to host at Bowling this in
incredible.
May. Yeah, absolutely, and think and they talked about a toxic team culture and some real issues. And now it's just the opposite. And she's a very special person when you get to know her, from what I understand.
She is.
And look how similar it was to McDermott a few years ago. How close he was because of a word he used.
Yeah. Well, that's you have to and I don't know what you think of Bill Moose. You have to have in those situations. You have to have good leadership at the athletic director role. That they kind of they don't knee-jerk reaction. They're paid a lot of money to be in that role, and they work through things. But you also have to have people that your president or your chancellor that you communicate with well. Yeah, it was an uncomfortable situation. I didn't know that Rhonda would make it through, but I think Bill Moose did the right thing in saying, whoa, what's going on here? Let's take a step back and what's happening. And you've seen it. And I hope Rhonda, because I think Rhonda is probably when Jordy is done, Rhonda is done. She'll retire. I hope there's at least a trip to Oklahoma City before that happens.
Yeah, and I think this could be the year. I mean, what happened last weekend was pretty special. But one person can make it. Yeah, you have to have more than one. And I was watching McGee pitch on Saturday, and you can tell she's been helped by Jordy. And that's the thing about having a great player. It's all about great players making their teammates better, And look, they got to go against her in practice, the hitters. Does that make them better? Of course. And what she's learned with the coaching she's had as a pitcher and being at a fantastic program with all the things they do well at Oklahoma, that she can pass on here at Nebraska.
Well, I think there's another part of in recruiting of not only their talent, male or female, but are they winners? She was a winner at Papillion La Vista. She was a winner at Oklahoma. And you look in her first year that she's been fully healthy. I mean, look at what they're doing. They're winning. I mean, being part of winning programs and being a winner helps a lot. And I think that's important in the recruiting aspect of, hey, you've got all these other attributes that we love, but man, being part of a winning culture where you know how to win and what it takes to win. I mean, Omaha men's basketball got a guy that was the point guard on a 32-3 number one team in junior college last year. And a big reason why he's very talented, his name's Mark Brown, but he was the point guard of a team that was one of the best in the country, if not the best. So, hey, I got one more for you, Mike, before we move on, because I know this guy is near and dear to your heart. Are you ready for this? I'm going to give you an update because you love this guy. You've been on this guy since he was at Millard South. Have you seen what Cam Kozel is doing at Arkansas?
You know it, but you know what my dream was?
Yeah.
I think I mentioned it to you guys.
Go ahead.
It was for him to come. This was before Raiola committed, because I actually thought he was the best quarterback in the state. If he came to Nebraska, and it's a blast from the past, Steve Sagi, who won a national championship at Southern Cal.
Okay.
In football as the quarterback, and in baseball as the catcher. And I could see Cam doing that here. That was my dream. Until once we got Rowe, I thought, okay, you don't have to do that.
That was. You've been high on him. So he's hitting .397. He has 8 homers and 42 RBIs. They played in Nashville a couple of weeks ago, so he went back to where his college career started, and he ripped apart the Vandy boys. He's having a great year.
Boy, did he.
You'll see him in the College World Series, and I'm going to tell you, you will see him in the championship series when Arkansas and Texas play.
Ooh, mark it down.
Mike, thanks for the phone call.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I've seen a few of those games in my life.
Nebraska softball, last time we checked, they were 34th in RPI after their sweep of Northwestern. Do you know where they're at right now?
So they were 34th after their sweep of Northwestern?
Before.
I'm going to say they're 28th.
They're 26.
Okay.
So
they moved up. That's a nice little jump this time of the year.
They're 18th overall in the AP right now, but you got to get to that, kind of teen mark in order to be the hosting site, right? In order for the NCAA regionals, but they're going in the right direction. 32-10, one hell of a series win last weekend. They got a big one coming up, 2-game slate against
Minnesota, right?
Minnesota, yeah, or Indiana, yeah.
At home, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the weird part of the schedule, and we are on a weather impact day in this area. As a result, Omaha and Creighton have moved up their games to 4:00.
Yep.
Which Omaha's playing Oral Roberts, which in the Baseball America has ORU as a 4 seed. Summit League is a 1-bid league. Summit League tournament is here. North Dakota State in D1 baseball is the 4 seed. St. John's, who's playing Creighton, and St. John's has won 16 of 18, really, really good. In a conference that is a 1-bid league most of the time, and usually is a 1-bid league unless UConn has this great run and they get a 3. Usually you get a 4. St. John's is listed as a 3 seed in both Baseball America and D1 baseball. So Nebraska's home as well, so they play Northwestern. So last weekend, all 3 baseball teams were gone. Storm Chasers were on the road. Now this week, Easter weekend, all 3 baseball teams are here. The Storm Chasers are in town. You got Omaha softball is here because they play South Dakota. Nebraska softball is here. I don't know about Creighton because Creighton was home last week. We got to get the schedule a lot better.
We got to spread it out a little bit. Spread the love so we can go to a bunch of different games.
But St. John's as a 3 seed in the projection of 64. If you are wondering, because Jimmy, I know you have your hand raised.
Absolutely.
No, Nebraska, Creighton, and Omaha are not in the projected field of 64 with, what do we have, about 5 weeks left of the regular season of college baseball?
Can still dream, though.
Hey, you want to dream? I'm telling you, this town in June, if you have Arkansas and Texas playing for Dave Van Horn's first national championship,
get revenge for 1969.
I don't care if those are 2 SEC teams. Arkansas, Texas, I would go find my Southwest Conference T-shirt to wear for that game.
2 Southwest Conference.
Creighton softball.
I'll wear mine.
In town.
Jeez. So everybody's in town.
Everybody's in town. They're playing St. John's on 4:00 today. So crazy.
Be warm.
Spread the love a little bit. I mean, that's too much. That's too much ball. Is there such thing as too much ball? That might be too much ball.
I don't know. Is there too many good players at Creighton for 25-26? That's a question they ask.
For basketball? Are we on basketball now?
Yes.
No such thing as too many good players. No such
Somebody
thing.
maybe push. Hey, we got too many good guys. You got to go.
No.
We'll be monitoring a particular player in the portal for Creighton. Familiarize yourself with Blake Harper. All right, coming up, we will reminisce about the great moments of the Jack McAllister era at Nebraska. Nebraska has had 2 go into the portal officially. Hardly Gilmore has already found a home. He's going back to Kentucky.
There's got to be a song like that, Back to Kentucky.
My old Kentucky home.
Yes.
Well, Jesus, that's embarrassing.
Shout out Colonel Sanders.
But that's not about going back. That's just about honoring your old Kentucky home.
Well, it was his old Kentucky home.
Well, now it's his current Kentucky home.
Yes, so he is going back to Kentucky. Welcome to the wonderful world of the portal. And Jack McAllister, who never got to punt in Memorial Stadium with people.
Well,
after his transfer from Washington last December 18th. Remember that date, December 18th. He is officially in the portal. So we'll talk about our favorite memories of his time with a day or two with Ed Foley and now Mike Eckler. We'll do that coming up in the next hour on 1620 The Zone. Oh, listen. The entrance music for a guy that has ruined a lot of big moments at WrestleMania.
I was about to. That's going to be a no for me, brother.
All right, you can quit this song.
I know. Out of all the
Hulk
wrestling
Hogan is
songs,
trash.
out of all the
It's
wrestling
what pulls
songs,
up on the board there.
That's okay. Hulk
There's a
Hogan is
couple.
trash.
he's off.
Okay? He has ruined so many big moments for other wrestlers, including something I watched yesterday that had a local connection. I'll explain later.
WrestleMania 8, never forget.
How much does Aaron Judge weigh?
280.
I was going to say 260.
So
I have it pulled up here.
So Aaron Judge last night hit a home run. Royals got swept by the Yankees. They're a little bit lifeless. Bellinger made an incredible catch at the end of the game out in right field to help the Yankees sweep the Royals. The Royals offense, now they go to Detroit for the weekend. But Judge hit a home run in the game, and his odds to win the AL MVP are now minus 275.
Already?
He's hitting over 400. I mean, he's on an historic start.
He is. His OPS plus is 279.
He's on a heater, as they say. But there was a comment last night that was made about, back in the day, you did not see individuals as large as Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Look up Frank Howard. Remember Frank Howard?
Yes. Looking up Frank Howard. You want his height and weight?
No, he was 6'7", 280.
That's what Judge is.
Yes. So Frank Howard, who was okay. Aaron Judge, what he does at that size and playing center field is like, hello. Like, like look at LeBron.
Yeah.
LeBron at 40 is still doing what he is doing at that size. But Aaron Judge at 6'7", 280.
282.
Frank Howard is ahead of his time.
He had a couple extra biscuits.
Yeah, he had a couple extra in the very nice Yankees catering area.
He is playing center field for the Yankees, but he's on a historic start. But I saw that come across my app this morning. And also, minus 275 for the AL MVP.
Also, too, he's playing center field. He's not a bad center fielder at all. Like, he is a plus center fielder to go along with it. I mean, we have to start getting into discussion of him being it, because last year, this is his stats from last year. He had an OPS of 1.159, OPS plus of 223. Which all those numbers, by the way, they led the AL. He had 144 RBIs. He had 58 homers. 2 seasons before that, he had 62 homers, right? Currently, he's on pace to get over 50 home runs once again. He's hitting over 400. He's every slashing stat you can think of. He is currently leading the AL. And, he's not young, right? He's 33 years old.
I know.
But he's at the point right now where you're watching him play and you're like, this isn't like kind of Albert Pujols in like 2011 and 12 where you're like, all right, he's a great hitter, but you're slightly seeing the decline. He is getting better and better. Like, he is better right now than he was last season, which is insane to think about. And in an era where they get tested all the time, right? He's not using PEDs. He's not in the steroid era. He is a clean athlete. We're getting to the point where we have to start discussing that he is one of the greatest hitters of all time. Period. End of story. If he continues this pace up, because if he does, and if he ends, now he's not going to end the season hitting 400, and he's not going to have an OPS plus of over 250.
Hey, but not just hitting 400. Another thing that I don't think is discussed enough in Major League Baseball. There aren't many guys that even hit over 300 nowadays.
Fair enough.
I mean, what Luis Arraez has done, you're like, whoa, they're just, was there less than 10 guys in the American League that hit over 300 last year that qualified for a batting title?
Wasn't it like 2 years ago that the batting title was like 310 or 311? Like, it was incredibly low. Typically, those numbers were getting up to 330.
I miss George Breton hitting 390. I miss those days. But he's an absolute freak. Let's share our favorite moments here now as we pause, because Nebraska has had a portal entry yesterday that initially probably was surprising, but then when you start to kick some tires, you're like, okay, this made sense. Your favorite Jack McAllister moment as a transfer from Washington to spend the winter and the early spring in Lincoln, Nebraska. Go.
The moment I saw his last name, I was like, oh, it's close to my last name. That's kind of cool. Those would be funny jokes. There it is. That's it. That and thinking that the McAllister's Deli NIL deal would probably be
Oh,
pretty
that
good for
would
the
have
young
been
man.
perfect. Man, there are so many ideas flowing today. That would have been
So
great.
this might be one of the more, because we're in portal season, and not every portal entry is created the same. Some are booted to the portal. Others do some shady stuff behind closed doors to get into the portal, and then
I love the hand movements there.
This might be one of the more amicable departures
Yeah.
of a guy who was brought to Nebraska. He committed on December 18th. At the time, there was a gentleman, a cherubic fellow by the name of Ed Foley, that was the special teams coach.
Yeah.
By the end of December, he was no longer the special teams coach. And then through some back channels and a Will Compton Zoom call and a putting people together, Mike Eckler became the special teams coach at Nebraska. So this is where Jack McAllister, unfortunately, his circumstances changed.
Yes.
Mike Eckler, who has had great success at Tennessee with a rugby-style punter, says that's what we'd like to do because of the way we're going to cover punts and sometimes how it's very difficult to put coverage against our punt unit. So from my understanding, what I was told last night is they tried this, and it's just not in his wheelhouse. And Nebraska has been, they were very upfront. Eckler was very upfront with, this is what we want.
Yeah.
But we're not like booting people out because Sam Cook's son, Camden, is, still on the team. And look, rugby style punting has become a thing, but it's not for everyone. Like Brian Buschini was able to do it. Maybe not full time, but when they needed to.
Yeah.
So Mike Eckler and Jack McAllister have good conversation, and Nebraska will help McAllister find a spot, and there will be a need out there for him. So now I hope that Nebraska loads up. I know people don't want to hear this, but punting matters. They load up and they spend a little cash to go get a punter. And I think they already have their idea of who their punter is going to be and Mike Eckler's connections. It may be an Australian, and I'm trying to connect dots here. And why I say pay some money, I'm going to give you a name. You ready?
Oh, okay.
You ready? This is not. I'm just if I'm going with what Eckler has shopped for,
Sure.
because I think Nebraska already has somebody on the way. James Ferguson Reynolds.
Okay. Is he a current college football player?
Went into the portal yesterday.
Okay.
From Boise State. James Ferguson Reynolds from Australia, 3 years at Boise State. Fan favorite. Most punters are. Place kickers, only if you make field goals and PATs and split the bars do we like you. But it seems like a lot of punters, outside of maybe Caleb Lightbourne, unfortunately, punters are pretty popular. He was an extremely popular player at Boise State. Ironically, Jack McAllister goes into the portal yesterday. Ferguson Reynolds at Boise State goes into the portal. Would you like to read off his stat? Now, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm trying to connect the dots that Mike Eckler likes a land down under, and this is an Australian that went into the portal yesterday on the same day that Nebraska's presumed to be starting punter went into the portal. Would you like to tell everybody what his incredible numbers were from this past season or his career on the Smurf turf?
So in 2023, his net average was 49.7.
Whoa! That's a lot.
Absolutely insane.
That is better than Cerny's
that is crazy.
Average.
His longest punt, 71 yards.
Oh, because of that air in Boise.
Same
air in Lincoln.
He only, though.
At least that's what they say until those Kansas brush fires come up here and screws with our air.
He only had one punt inside the 20, though.
Okay.
In 2023.
He's off.
Now,
in
2024, his average went down significantly. He went from 49.7 to 43.5, but his long stayed relatively the same at 68.
Hold on. No. So 2 years ago, he's at 43.7.
No. 2 years ago, I'm looking right here on ESPN. 2 years ago, he's at 49.7, but only one inside the 20. This year, he's at 43.5, 16 punts inside the 20.
Oh, my
37.5% inside the 20.
I don't know why people wouldn't want him.
That is really, really good. Only 3 touchback, his long of 68. In his last 2 games of the regular season, he had a long punt of 62 and a long punt of 64. Look, this is a change in circumstance. This is you brought in a punter when one special teams coordinator was there. Another special teams coordinator comes in. They bring in their guy. It's as simple as that. You called it amicable. Mike Eckler has an idea of what he wants the special teams unit to look like. That's, he's going to bring in a guy that's going to fit that mold. I do wonder, though, if this kind of indicates that there was a plan for Ed Foley to stay as the special teams coordinator if they brought Jack McAllister in as a punter. I'm not saying that there was. This is just purely speculative. But when you look at it this way, right? Why, if the plan was always to bring in a new special teams coordinator, if the plan was to always change, how that unit is going to look, why would you have Ed Foley, go ahead and get a punter?
Because it wasn't only Ed Foley that was kicking the tires in the portal for a punter, because Nebraska needed a punter, period.
Yeah.
And so they were open for business. And I don't think you need a punter.
Yes.
And I think they recruited him to Nebraska, not to Ed Foley, because if you need a punter and you like him, you're not going to show your cards and go, well, you know what? We're kind of thinking about, we're getting rid of the fella. Like the really nice guy, Ed, and he's not going to be working with you. So I don't think you play your cards. And they approached it. They didn't, like, Ed Foley wasn't on his own.
Sure.
They needed a punter, period.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was finalized that, hey, hang around for the Pinstripe Bowl, get some cool gear, take the family to New York City. Mm-hmm. But I think you can't operate that way. You have to, if somebody is interested in us because they know we have a need.
Sure.
And they're familiar kind of with what our situation is here, and they want to come here, and we look at what they've done at Washington, and they've already kicked in the Big Ten, so they know the elements, we're open for business.
Yeah.
But that's where it becomes, I think, the whole transparency thing, which it really sounds like in this case, because when I say amicable, it was. I mean, you don't see, he tweeted out yesterday, and he thanked, I think, everybody under the sun.
Yeah.
I think even the person that opens the door in North Stadium got a thanks, which is very, very rare. So you're transparent, and you're like, hey, we're making a change. We got a new special teams coach, but you'd be excited. But then that special teams coach wants a certain style of punter, and that's just not in your wheelhouse. So you say, okay, it happens, but now we'll try and help you find a place because we've got to move on. So I don't know that they, they did the old okey doke with them. I just think if you go and recruit the best players regardless. I think if you're looking, all you got to do is Google and see the dismay of Nebraska's special teams.
Oh, sure.
And you still came here.
Yeah. I think another thing, too, is you look at last season. What was the biggest play of last season? It was
fake punt. Brian Buschini against Rutgers. No? That was not the best special teams play?
No. The best special teams play was the punt by Brian Buschini to put Colorado within the 5-yard line that put Shedeur Sanders in the end zone throwing the football that led to the Tommy Hill pick six.
Whoa. I think I'd like to have a debate on this. I'm gonna give me that paddle over there.
No way.
The fake punt against Rutgers.
It was Rutgers. We're talking about the biggest game of the season. Your best.
Rutgers pretty big.
Rutgers went to a bowl game.
What was your best? So did Colorado. Colorado ended the season.
Did they go to a bowl game?
You just said it's just Rutgers.
I watched BYU in a bowl game.
Colorado was their highest ranked win of the season at the end of the day. Okay. And that play Tommy Hill made was the biggest play of the year, led them to winning that game. And what led to that moment? What set up that moment? It was a Brian Buschini punt. And I think that Mike Eckler wants a special teams unit that isn't just going to get the job done. That isn't just going to, hey, we're going to put it in good field position. He wants a special teams unit that he believes can win games, whether it be in the punting game or in the kicking game. And I think that you look at this wave of where special teams is going, you see a lot of the best punters, whether it be in college football or the NFL, they're coming from Australia. They're having these rugby-style punts. You look at a guy like Tory Taylor. Pretty sure that I don't know the Rams punter, but I'm pretty sure he's
Iowa's next punter is from Australia too.
So that is like, I compare, I've always believed that on the defensive.
They only punt down there?
I believe so.
Probably.
I've watched enough Aussie rules football. They love Hayden Fry down there. Yeah.
It's got to be hard to catch those rugby punts. Have you ever tried catching a punt?
Yeah.
How hard?
I mean, it is difficult. Your hand-eye coordination is a big part. And then, hoping you don't get blasted.
Mm-hmm.
Did you actually catch it?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was not smooth, but I did catch it.
You still caught it.
I don't think my form with the legs were that good.
Sure.
Probably you're supposed to have more of a base when you catch the punt.
Did you fall down?
I did not.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
I did not.
I feel like I would fall down. I feel like I would like caress it into the body and then do a barrel.
But there's also part of the having a rugby style punter, and granted, down in Australia because they do play rugby.
Yes,
which really is a shame. You know,
it's like old school Big Ten football.
On a side note here, you know when ESPN went to hell is when they stopped at 6 a.m. showing rugby style football. Because when I was a kid, there was the cartoons, but there was also I was watching Sports Center.
Yeah,
but
Sports Center.
You'd get Body by Jake.
Yes,
and then you'd have some attractive like late 40s woman in a leotard, like boobing up and down.
Yep,
boobing.
Yep. No, I'm with you. This was my morning.
They were.
Yeah,
and I didn't know at the time, and I was like glued to it. I was like, whoa,
you
Mom.
NFL's greatest moments in the afternoon,
Mom. But you would have rugby style football.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow!
Or you'd have Aussie rules football.
Like
so the elements of rugby.
Sure.
But then you have the guy, because that's what I wanted to be at one point. Like when you're young and like every day you change on what you want to be.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the guy at the goalpost that went.
Yes, exactly. Whoop. Wear the hat, the suit.
So that's when ESPN went to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Is they got that off and they started running Sports Center and talking head shows.
Yeah, and then Stephen A. just
look it
finished
up.
It off.
But down there, I would be very curious. I don't know that I've ever seen anything of why Australians are so good at punting and so much in demand in the U.S. in colleges and guys that go on to the pros.
They believe in field position.
So their legs are stronger.
Really?
The legs
okay.
just.
Are you joking
strong.
or are this real?
No, I'm serious. Well, I'll tell you this right now. So my roommates played on the
like because the kangaroos' legs are strong.
They are strong.
No.
Those dudes are fierce.
Let me tell you something right now. Australians are built different. Just period, end of story. Like if you ever see like the actors and the models and the actresses
we saw Crocodile
that
Dundee.
come out of Australia,
he looked like a normal guy.
That is just a different area of the world. Like all of those people, whether it be male, female, are Amazons. Like I rarely do you ever see. They're all 6'4". They're all beautiful. They all have blonde hair. They're all chiseled and ripped. I mean, there's a lot. Chris Hemsworth, Liam Hemsworth, Tori Taylor.
Hold on here.
Steve Irwin, his son Robert Irwin.
Not Hale Irwin.
Would you say Heath Ledger was jacked? Keith Urban is kind of jacked.
Keith Urban is kind of jacked. He's built different.
How about Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman?
Yeah, how about that? Solid couple.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman she's beautiful.
You should watch Days of Thunder. Yeah.
Isla Fisher?
Ooh.
Kylie Minogue?
Yeah. Oh.
You would probably be more of a Kate Blanchett.
I love Kate Blanchett. I like Kate Blanchett now. Yep. But I like the Olsens. I know that's totally different.
So we're not talking like Aaron Judge,
Kate and Ashley
coming out of
but
Australia.
But they're different. Like they are built different humans.
Keith Urban is a good, he'd be a good scat back. Built like that.
Tough to tackle.
What would Chris Hemsworth be? He would be an incredible off the ball linebacker.
He does look like that. And then his brother.
He's kind of built like Jalen Walker.
Hey, so Liam, I like where you're going with this. I think Liam would be a tight end.
Ooh. He is a bit of a pretty boy. I could see him catching passes. I do think, though, I don't think Liam is as tall. Is Liam as tall as Chris? Isn't Liam a little shorter than Chris?
I believe so. I don't have my Hemsworth book.
I think I would put
available.
I did not have this on my scouting list.
I would put Liam as a wide receiver.
Okay.
It was an wide receiver.
What would you do with Mel Gibson?
Ooh, fullback. He's a little sturdier.
Especially when he separates his shoulder and tries to put it back in and
and then he'll get to the sideline, be hurt, and then he'll boost himself with ivermectin and then get back out there.
Maybe swear at somebody while he's coming off the field.
More than likely.
Elle McPherson.
Not to be confused with Dick McPherson.
Elle McPherson was
the
the U.S. Sporting World made Elle McPherson.
I'm trying to think
cover of Sports.
Do you know Robert Irwin? Steve Irwin
personally?
No, Steve Irwin's son.
We haven't caught up.
Well, as a matter of fact, for the miracle,
do you know who he is and what he looks like?
Yes.
Did you see he did a model shoot recently? I follow him on Instagram. I've been following him for a long time. I was caught off guard. It was a little.
This is Steve's son.
Oh yeah, he's a model now.
Like
he's a part-time model / crocodile hunter. Like he also does like the wildlife preservation and everything like that. So does his daughter as well. They all went into animals. Is that a shocker? I feel like if you're an Irwin, you have to go into being into animals. Like I feel like you can't.
My favorite Irwins.
But rugby just punters just in general just seems like they kick the ball a lot farther and the spin on the ball is just a lot crazier and it seems like it's harder to catch. And
weird about Steve Irwin. I actually do remember where I was when I heard that he died.
I thought it was a joke at first. I was like, that's not funny.
It was at the grocery store.
Yeah.
And you got it on your phone or you heard about it on the news?
Somebody told me. Like Steve Irwin was
a big deal.
Well, I mean, just the way, unfortunately, the tragic way that he died. I mean, got killed by a stingray.
I know. Awful.
Yeah. But this is, to bring it back to our favorite Jack McAllister moments, this essentially comes down to Mike Eckler is firmly in the trust tree. That if what Mike Eckler wants to do and the way he wants to run special teams, the head coach, he got out the way, and they trust Mike Eckler and his connections and his evaluation. That thanks,
Yeah.
You. This is you. If you want to make this move and you don't feel, you have a punter that doesn't feel comfortable with that style, but that's the style that you definitely want. If you look at our personnel, it is in Mike Eckler we trust. It's a good sign early on. It's a really good sign early on. But I don't know. I threw the name from Boise State out there because went into the portal yesterday.
You just got to put in two and two together.
From Australia, good punter.
I think
Nebraska already kind of know. I think Eckler already knows.
They have their guy in mind. I think they have their guy in mind, and they're going to go out and they're going to try and get the guy that they have in mind. And I think it'll be,
How reassuring, though, is it that Nebraska has a special teams coach, which you don't have to worry about?
Well, that's the thing. You talk about he's in the trust tree. Like, you look at what he's done in his career and then most recently what he's done in the special teams unit at Tennessee. How can you not have him in the trust tree? Like, how could you stand up and say, no, Mike, we're not going to go with that. No, we like McAllister. No, we think that he can do it. Oh, no. We brought him in. It'll be a bad look if we let him go. Like, this guy has done absolutely enough throughout his entirety of his career to walk into a program and be like, no, this is how my unit is going to run. And what he's done in the past and the merit that he has absolutely deserved that respect. And also, too, when you see him get up on that podium, and you see him talk in front of people about the passion that he has for special teams, you just, how can you not think that passion also relays into how he's talking at the meeting and how he's talking to the coaches? And when you see him talk that way, once again, how is it not a no-brainer to just say, no, we trust you. Okay, this is what we're going to roll with.
You also have to have a head coach that's comfortable, because you could make a case that in some circumstances, Mike Eckler is more popular than Matt Rule. And Rule is like, you know what? I don't care. I got a guy. I hired the best guy to be the special teams coach. Now I get out the way.
He loves it.
Just win, baby.
Sean tweets at the show about your thing about Australians. Their legs are stronger because they live on the bottom part of the planet. Now, is this all BS?
They are. I'm just telling you right now.
Is this like the toilet swirling the other way?
Just an observation. Whenever I see Australians, they just look bigger. They are just bigger humans. They are just built different. And you got to understand, all those animals and all those sea and everything they have at the
Modern
sea.
Family when they went to Australia.
All the surfing that they do, all the wildlife that they have to endure.
I would say more like in the outback where you got to survive.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of house hunters when they're there.
They have to be able to hold on to the ground so they don't fall off or up.
But the world's flat. At least that's what Kyrie Irving told me.
It's not flat. I'm not a flat earther.
Let me for a moment here. I just want to, because I think you're onto something about this theory.
About legs?
I think they're just naturally bigger.
I want to just put it in the Google machine. I'm going to do some AI and see what it gives me.
This should be good.
Okay, here it is. While there's no single definitive answer to whether Australians are naturally bigger, data suggests they tend to be among the taller populations globally. However, obesity rates are also high in Australia.
I think so.
Indicating that factors beyond natural height play a role in body size and weight. So they are natural, like data suggests they are naturally taller and they are naturally heavier.
What?
On that note, Pete just wrote in. He goes, as the resident Aussie that listens to the show.
Thank you.
He goes, I have spent many years. Oh, Pete, we got to work on our typing here. I have spent many years of my life in Sydney.
Beautiful place.
If you go to Sydney, you will not find more physically fit people in one place. It may be the way we were raised. It may be our mindset, our diet, our lifestyle. But I also must add, also along with something you were pointing out, their active lifestyle culture, Australia has an obesity rate of 29%.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like my hometown.
So if you scroll a little bit longer
So if you
down
live
here,
around the beach, you're good. If you don't live on the beach in Australia, you're fat.
Yeah.
jeez.
You like that fast food.
So we
It's
need
kind of like in California.
lots
Like
of
if
Vegemite.
you go inland in California,
Mhm.
like if you go to the Inland Empire,
Yeah.
a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
They might weigh 185 instead of 165.
that's the same thing in Chicago. You go closer to the lake, you get a little bit skinnier.
I thought it goes down. Oh, that's the temperature.
Oh, that's the temperature.
That's
all
true.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I learned.
He
Weather in
goes,
Chicago.
there is a myth from Australians. I wish I should have read this email in an Australian accent.
Do you have a good one?
Not even going to try.
Oh,
He said there is a myth from Americans that in our beach towns and our tourist areas in Australia, that's where we put the most attractive people and younger crowd.
That they work for the government as they're planted there.
I'm telling you. they're-
Scammed by Australians.
I'm just saying, like when I'm on Instagram and whenever you see anything from Australia, they're either like the most beautiful women or they're the most physically fit men. I don't know what they're feeding them over there. I don't know
Vegemite.
what they're doing over there, but just Australians in general.
And
are
Tim
just-
Tams.
They're just bigger. They're just built different.
Does this close the Ed Foley book?
Yeah.
Or we
done.
still got it open? We get because we have Hole and Alvano are still.
Well, he didn't
kicking.
even offer Albano. I mean, Mickey Joseph offered Albano, so you could. I mean,
Came
so
on the
John
show the next
Hull
morning.
is the last descendant, I guess, of Ed Foley.
But Tristan Alvano has kicked under Ed Foley.
Yes, that is true. But if, I thought we were just talking about recruiting.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, Tristan
Oh.
Alvano and John Hull.
Oh no, because there may be an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old that is in some outpost Nebraska school that once met Ed and still may be coming to Nebraska because of their interaction with a very, very nice human.
I'll just tell you right now, it's like I always want a Polynesian defensive football player. I always want an Australian on my special teams unit, whether it be the snapper, the holder, the kicker, or the punter.
I'm with you on alignment. I would rather take it on the offensive line.
I would either a Polynesian safety or a Polynesian offensive lineman. I feel like,
Not everybody can be Palamalu.
or
A lot of Southern Hemisphere talk today.
The San Francisco guy,
Purdy?
Hafunga,
Purdy,
No,
Samuel,
Hufanga.
Bosa,
Tanner? Danny?
Hafunga. I think it's Hafunga.
It's a good name.
Ayuk.
No,
Oh.
Nakua. He's Polynesian.
Yes, he is. All right. We've got to take a quick break. We'll come back. Again, Nebraska is looking for another punter. How much money will they spend on a punter in the
Ooh.
portal now that Jack McAllister has gone into the portal? Vegemite sandwich. You know what? This will allow, if
worries.
Nebraska does get an Australian punter, it'll allow us all to bring up the name Brett Popwell. Look it up.
Okay.
It's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. Hey, whether your roof is down under or it is up, Moose Roofing is the place for you. Omaha Roofing Company. They take care of residential roofs, roof repair and service, commercial roofing. Again, if your roof is on the ground or your roof is still up on the top of your house, Moose Roofing is the place for you. Pat Moose and their crew, they are the MVPs of roofing throughout the area, from Southwest Iowa all the way to Lincoln. They've been in business since the late 90s. Now, they're not just a roofing company that the business is on wheels and they're here one day and gone the next, like a lot of roofing companies are around here when we have storms. They're here before the storm, during the storm, and after the storm, and they are here for you. They just don't roll into your neighborhood and start looking at your roof and going, maybe we need to fix it. They sit down with you with their consultants and they go through all of your needs. They get on your roof, they assess everything, they work with your insurance company, which is not very easy these days, and then they go to work to give you some assurance with protecting your most valuable asset. So, if you've got roof damage that is still left over from last year's storms and you know today is a weather alert day and you're like, Moose Roofing is the place to go. Or you're looking to sell your home and you want to increase the value with a new roof. Moose Roofing is the only place to go. For more information, go to their website, contact them online to schedule an inspection and sit down with the consultants and get to know one of the good guys in the business, Pat Moose. It's mooseroofing.com. All right, 32 past the hour. Welcome back in. Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone, 1620 The Zone TV. Hello, Fong Wei. Cap is in there. J-Man's in there. TC is in there.
Ideas and
PWPF
great
fan.
thoughts.
Jim by Crimby. It is such a great community. Debo is back again today.
It's awesome.
Gary Sharp is back today. Keegan is back today. Anybody else? The porn bots are gone today. Thank you.
No, we're good. We covered everybody.
Yeah.
Got a couple people who'll come in here. We typically come in here throughout the hour. I mean, like you said, it's awesome.
Waiting for Australia to join us.
Chats.
Okay, I got some jealousy here. I'm going to just full disclosure here.
I love this.
Yeah,
I love this. Jealousy and ideas. That's the theme of the week.
So, come to the realization as I get a little bit older. I don't know if it's jealousy. Maybe I'm jealous. I'm being too hard on myself.
You often are.
So I've come to the realization that I'm not going to be like all you out there, and I've missed a moment that, I am jealous that I don't have my own barber. So I have for the life of my hair, which there isn't much.
Do you need one?
Damn.
Wow.
I mean, I'm just.
Damn.
I mean,
wow. That's like, what was that?
I'm just saying. I mean,
I feel like I need to go
get your
hair
hair
like
cut. You know,
scone or something.
I'm making jokes. I'm making jokes.
Hurtful.
You got to raise your hand when you make a joke. You're like sarcasm and joke are like, and then like, you told Jimmy to die yesterday.
I did not.
And Jimmy looked at you and you're like, I was just joking.
I didn't tell Jimmy to die.
I was recalling a horrific event that happened to me in third grade.
When I lost control of the axe and I was trying to throw it, it just went off. I was just kidding. But I've been a customer of Great Clips, Sports Clips, and Lollipop.
I know.
Which Lollipop? Yeah.
Okay.
When I was a little kid.
Oh, okay.
They would take you in, like when you were like 4 or 5, and they put you like on the big wheel and they cut your hair. There was nothing better. I would do an adult Lollipop these days. Oh, I'm. You know what? There's a lot of things we did as kids,
especially once the medical.
There's a lot of things we did as kids that I think we should have as adults. Like
nap time.
I think
nap time.
Nap time we do. We still have.
But like in the office, nap time. Like
there have been people that have
work,
here.
People
we
work
had somebody
9 to
that
5?
was here that they took a nap on the reg
in this studio.
Really? Yes, in the studio.
That's awesome.
He was a producer.
Yeah,
good for him.
That like I would be a big proponent of having an adult Easter egg hunt. It would be absolute chaos. There would be injuries and there would be arrests. But you know what? Remember the memories you had as a kid with your Easter egg hunt.
I'm pretty sure Warhorse is doing that.
Oh, imagine that. A casino reference. 90 minutes into the show.
Well, I'm just
saying. What took you so long?
That up,
read the pamphlet. Read the pamphlet.
Win some free play. Hey, we'll have a big board tomorrow.
I do have a disclaimer to read, and helps.
You discounted Bassett and Strider yesterday.
I did not discount them. I thought that 7 was a low number, and I understood that it was a sucker's bet, but I took the sucker's bet because I'm like, all that needs to happen is one of them needs to have a bad day. And when they did get into the bullpen, it like they both had runners on base. Like they had their opportunities. It's just they couldn't score.
What was the total? 7.5?
It was 7. It was
3-1?
flat 7. It was 3-1. It was 4. It was a bad bet. It was just a bad bet. I don't have any today.
So I would like to bring like stuff we did as youths that we should also be able to do as adults.
Get behind this.
Like sleepovers. Mm-hmm. They just look at them differently when you're an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have this thing in minor league baseball. We had like water park day, and it would be Big Splash, and it would be for kids. But why not do it for adults?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why do we have to only do stuff when we're young?
That's
why
called
can't
the
we
Wisconsin Dells. I mean, that's what true, I mean. True. The Wisconsin Dells is the water park for adults.
So I don't know if the Lollipop will come back, but it was very popular when I was getting my haircut. So this is why I'm jealous of you and everybody else that has their own barber. Like you know them by name. You have a standing time.
Shout out Doug.
Because you have a barber back home, right?
Well, I did, Carmelo.
But now that you moved away,
I don't have a barber.
But if you go back, you might go back. So you're going back home.
I'm going back to Mello. Yeah, I'm calling Mello.
Because I don't get that world, and I'm very jealous of it. Because the boy came back from UNL last night.
Yeah.
Because he has a 9 a.m. haircut appointment with a guy here in Omaha who cuts his hair, and that's the only person he wants to cut his hair.
Oh, respect that.
And I'm like, I do have respect for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't matter if it is Alicia or if it is Nick or if it is Anthony.
Linda Felicia, Dawn Letitia.
Whoever it is at Great Clips, I'm just going to walk in and they're going to cut my hair. And they already have me on the computer. So they're going to say, hey, 2 on the side, 1 on the top. I had a bit of jealousy hearing that the boy has a standing 9 a.m. haircut appointment, that he would skip class today at UNL to come back because that's the only time I think that his barber.
Now, does he have a younger barber? Does he have an older barber?
I don't know. But he has fraternity hair.
Yeah.
So he has like the Alabama bangs.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
So it's probably a younger barber.
That is a picture you painted.
My barber is 73 years old. He's an Italian man.
Okay.
I told him,
make sure he doesn't retire.
The first time I ever went to him, I go, Mello, I want a low fade. And he goes, Matt, I got you. Don't worry. He didn't do a low fade. Okay. Mello did what Mello wanted to do. Okay. And it looked good. And I go, you know what? Because I only get like 2 haircuts a year because I grow out the hair because I still have,
you can.
Well, I have the hockey. I have the hockey, mindset where I like to have in the summer I like to have the longer hair, and so he does it, whatever. But what I love about Mello is that he's an older guy and he just compliments me the entire time. He just sweet talks me. He just tells me, "Oh my God, all the ladies are going to be all over you. Oh my God, when you go to a party, they're going to be fawning over you."
So the opposite of the other shows,
he's just, and then he starts talking about his wife and his, he goes to Italy every 3 times a year. He's the president of the Italian Skokie Club. So he leads people out, does all the trips and everything like that. He's a wonderful, wonderful man. Is he good at haircuts? No.
Whoa.
He is not. I'm going to tell you something right now. I've gotten much better haircuts from much better barbers. But
this took a dark turn. I feel bad for Mello.
No. It's Mello. You know what I'm saying? It's Mello. Like, I go to Mello. I give Mello my $50. Is it the most overpriced haircut that I've ever gotten? Yeah. Could my mother probably do it for free? Absolutely. But you know what? It's Mello.
Do you think if you're like Jerry and he cheated on Uncle Enzo, his barber, that there would be hell to pay if like Mello found out that you were cheating on him?
Mello did find out.
That's what I did.
I went to.
Did the clippers slip?
The
straight edge slip the last time you were in?
I walked in and he goes, "Your hair should be longer."
Ooh. You're running around on me.
Ooh.
He goes, "You did?
You can't."
And he kind of knew, like he knows where his markers are, and he kind of, I think he does the haircuts on purpose.
Going honky tonky
so
with
he
other
knows
barbers.
Like where it's easier for him to redo it, like over and over and over again. He started cutting. He knew immediately.
You should not. Don't cheat on your spouse. Don't cheat on your barber.
Lipstick
you can
on
cheat
the collar.
on tests. Okay, cheat on your taxes. Those top 2 ones do not do.
He was
cheat in recruiting.
And our relationship has been repaired.
You're not trying.
Exactly.
Thank you, Pat Jones.
But I'll tell you this right now. He wasn't telling me that the ladies were going to love me during that haircut. He was a little disappointed. But I was like, Mello, I was out in college.
You're going to be alone.
Get a haircut.
Hey, Uncle Enzo was not happy with Jerry. Jeremy says he gets his cut every Tuesday at 10 a.m.
Whoa.
To have that kind of hair.
Whoa. Once a week.
He's got a buzz cut too.
Once a week.
Oh.
Gorgeous by Ashley.
Shout out Ashley.
Wait, that is way too.
I think it's just the name of the barber. I don't know if it's Ashley. It might be like that. Sounds like a.
How often do you get your haircut?
Every 6 weeks. I got an app and it tells me when to go get my haircut.
Okay, that's kind of impressive. I respect that. I respect
like an app
for hair. An app?
Yeah, there's an app for everything. You have an app. You have an app for everything. By the way,
hey, I'm a check-in guy. Okay.
Yes.
I ain't messing around when I go to Great Clips.
Yeah.
Do you call?
I live across the street from a Great Clips.
You open the app.
No, you got the app and you reserve your spot.
Oh,
and
really?
then it gives you, because it takes from my house to Great Clips 2 minutes to walk. So then I get like, hey, you are next up.
You're on deck.
So I'm like, whoop, come in.
Wow.
They say, Gary? I said, yep. I said, okay. Sometimes you get some communication or not, but for people that have a standing barber or stylist, female, or hairdresser, very impressive, because some of us we don't, and we'll never have it.
Every 6 weeks, I think that's a very standard. I think that's an okay, cool procedure.
Yeah.
You kind of keep the same look throughout the year. People still notice though when you get a haircut. Like when you get a haircut, people are like, "Oh, Gary, nice haircut."
Yeah.
But it's still, you're still keeping your style. You don't look any differently. I'm at this point in my life, this is the last time I'm going to do it. This is the last year.
Wow.
2 times a year. I'm going to let her grow it out. I'm going to get the long, long locks.
Why are you changing?
Because I'm losing my hair, and it's time for me to get a professional every 6 week haircut and keep the same look consistently, especially in this profession. But this is the last ride. This is the final time. I will have the long hair. You'll see it flowing. It'll be nice. And then we will go to your standard procedure I'll probably get the same app.
My advice is while you can grow it out,
Barber.
do it.
But I have Mello. So here's the thing. I don't do the whole app thing. I just have Mello's number in my phone. And I just put, and I'm like, oh, it's time for a haircut. And I just look up Mello and I give him a call and then we're good to go. And it's just like, at this point, I don't really do it for me. I do it for him. I'm being serious. There are people who give me better haircuts. I do it to see Mello though.
So many backhanded compliments.
It's not a backhanded compliment.
I feel bad for Mello. Now I want to go see Mello.
Carmelo's going to be fine.
Yeah, he's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He is
well deserved.
the best looking.
But I hope his son is good at Syracuse.
So
yeah. He's the best. Him and William Kyle.
When we come back, there's a lot of things wrong with college football. There's Nico, and there's his dad, and there's the portal. But college football always delivers. There is an incredible story surrounding Nico in Tennessee, who, by the way, not done yet at UCLA.
Oh, yeah.
Not a finalized deal that he's going to be at UCLA. So if you're planning to go to that Friday night game in the Rose Bowl against UCLA, just hold off a little bit if you're just going to see Nico.
I don't think anyone's.
Will that be the first matchup of a Dylan and Nico in Nebraska football history?
Probably.
Okay. Just throwing it out there on the 17th of April.
Yeah, SID's job there to find
that. Yes,
out.
that should be in the Keith Mann notes. Yeah. But something happened in Tennessee that shows you why college football is the greatest sport on earth. I'll tell you that story coming up after this. It's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Well, I'm jealous of people who won last night because I wasn't one of them. But you can win today, and I plan to as well, or at least I hope. That's because Underdog just became one of the best places to make picks during the basketball playoffs with their extender promo, which I'm going to have to find out about. With the extender, you can play your way to increasingly bigger boosts each round of the playoffs, which begin this weekend. It is one of the leading sports apps, and you can play now in your state, which is our state, right here, the great state of Nebraska. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next to play? All you have to do is download the app, choose whether a player will go higher or lower in one of their stats, and you can choose from things like points, assists, so much more. If they're making the first turnover, you get the idea. Once your picks feel good, or at least you're thinking that'll do, you can play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. If you get nothing right, you win nothing, but you knew that. This week on Underdog, it's NBA playoff time. Sprinkling a little baseball because baseball's been good to me, though not last night, but that Rockies-Dodgers game kind of went off the rails quickly, so that's not my fault or Underdog's. That's their fault. Download the Underdog app and sign up with promo code ZONE to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code ZONE. Must be 19 plus in Nebraska and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/extend.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
All right, could be a Bill Ranby night. The sleeves may be rolled up. Severe weather is in the area. If you've not heard, if anybody's playing baseball or softball on the college level at Creighton or Omaha, they've moved the games up to 4 o'clock, so plan accordingly. Being told between 5 and 10, we could be in for our first major bout of spring storm weather.
Almost the 1-year anniversary of
next week.
Mm-hmm.
So Bill Ranby may be rolling up the sleeves.
I'm not looking forward to it. But thank God it's at 5 o'clock and not when I would be driving back on the road from Lincoln today. So we'll avoid that, thankfully.
Okay.
Reed Timmer's in town with Dominator. So, yeah, all the Storm Chasers.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Wait, there's a Storm Chaser in town?
They're Storm Chasers and the Storm Chasers.
Yeah, they both are in town.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
6:35 tonight?
Is it going to be that bad tonight?
There's a possibility in this area.
Yeah.
Yes. Reed Timmer is in town, so we might see the vehicle driving around.
50th and Dodge, if you want to stop by.
Wow. They were just, because they're on my algorithm on TikTok. They were just in Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
All right.
I don't like that.
Okay.
I'm not a fan.
I just hope he brings Gizmo.
I know
Hold
some
on.
people love weather, but I'm not a fan of when a guy who chases storms comes to your city.
Now, if Jim Cantori, I don't think he's here, but if he shows up, then you know.
Oh, no.
That's like when Pat Summerall and John Madden walked in to do a game. It was a big game.
You knew.
Yeah. This wasn't the 7th crew that got Atlanta, Tampa Bay in December.
So I'm going to tell you something right now. Like the fact, we're going to have severe weather. Like, yeah, I'll be locked up in my room or anything like that. Now that you tell me that the storm, like actual people who chase storms,
You're gonna wear a helmet all day.
I'm now afraid. Like I now have fear that no, this is going to be legitimately bad. That is not a good sign.
Kids, it's not going to be bad. Don't worry.
You just get to the Midwest?
Yeah.
We don't have it like this. Like now, I didn't grow up.
Where have you lived for the last 4 years?
I'm going to be real with you.
In Lincoln?
In Lincoln. But it
Yeah,
didn't. I mean, we had
worse there because we have the OMADome.
We
They don't have a dome.
Just don't tell a local meteorologist about the OMADome. They will clap back on social media.
in my 4 years.
Not mess with Rusty Lord over at 6 about the OMADome.
He doubled down in the afternoon, so I was like,
in my
he's
4
ready.
years in Lincoln, I never had a power outage, and we had those tornadoes.
Check
we
for
had
the
those
night.
2 tornadoes that touched down. That was a real scary sight, and there were some buildings that were collapsed, which were absolutely terrible. But outside of that, the weather in my 4
big
years,
deal.
it was only ever cold.
Big deal, yeah. Okay. So, story in Tennessee is Nico is trying to find a home, and people either embrace the chaos or they hate the chaos. And Tennessee is shopping.
Yeah.
This shows
not
you
a lot to shop
why,
for.
despite all the things that go on about college football, that college football is the greatest sport on earth. There is a pastor from Tennessee. His name is Josh Sullivan.
This is already awesome.
He was rescued and reunited with his family late Tuesday night after being held at gunpoint and held for almost a week in South Africa. The rescue included a shootout that killed 3 kidnappers.
Whoa.
But Sullivan, he was unharmed. After being safely rescued, Sullivan was taken to see his family, and then he began touching base with some back in East Tennessee.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Lord.
At Fellow Baptist Church, Pastor Tom Hately said one of the first things he heard from those in South Africa was he was upset over Nico.
Can you imagine fighting for your life? You're kidnapped. You're trying to get out of there. The kidnappers are around you, and they see you mad or crying, and they're like, "What? Are you okay?" Like, "Oh, we're getting to him. Like, we're breaking him down. Like, we're going to be able to get whatever we want." And he goes, "No. My quarterback for my favorite football team just decided to leave the team, and now he's no longer going to play for us."
So people were told to have
That's crazy.
lighthearted conversation around Pastor Sullivan, but he said,
You want to talk ball?
You know, Nico left, didn't you? And his wife told him that the biggest conversation they had has been about Nico. Hey, the boy was raised in East Tennessee. What can I tell you? So
who's worse,
the
the kidnappers or Nico for leaving?
the pastor who, wasn't really traumatized, I guess. He said, if Josh Heupel was listening to me or athletic director Danny White, I think I should be able to go see the team.
Mm-hmm.
I think I should be able to run on the field, and let's do something because I deserve this.
Okay,
He probably
I
asked the
don't know.
kidnappers to donate to NIL.
I mean that when you're like
How
when you
diehard
say,
a fan is that? You were in a shootout. Your life was on the line. You were being held in South Africa.
and you're thinking about who are we
Diplomatic
going to get in the
immunity.
portal.
You know, like if a Nebraska fan, they'd be like, McAllister, huh? That's why college football is so glorious.
Can you imagine coming back from being kidnapped and it
No,
just
I
happens?
cannot.
It happens. Dylan Raiola's in the portal, and that's what you're most upset about. Not the fact that you almost lost your life. I mean, that's kind of crazy. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous.
Some people, their life is Nebraska football. A boy from East Tennessee. If you know, you know.
They want to talk ball all year.
That Orange Nation, man, Vol Nation,
power team.
And now
nobody's bigger.
Now he's going to go to a place where their chancellor thinks that he should be playing Ivy League football, but he'll be playing in the Rose Bowl. All right, we finished the hour with Dave in Florida. Hello.
Hello, Gary. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I am still washing off the funk of New Orleans. That was, I seen things, Gary. We'll just leave it at that.
Like, give me the most outrageous thing that you saw in New Orleans.
A shooting.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You might see that also where you live. How about something else?
Guys who aren't guys because they're dressed up as girls.
Okay. All right.
On a positive note, though, when I travel, I either wear Venice football or Nebraska football stuff.
Yeah.
And we were in an establishment, and I had on the old Nebraska polo and got talking to a couple. They were college kids. They were there on a trip. And they had Nebraska stuff on, got talking. They're in the Omaha area, and they recognized my voice from a certain radio show.
Wow. Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got Doug and Daddy listeners down there in New Orleans, huh?
No, it was your show.
All right.
Then I told him that, yes, I am Southwest Florida Dave, and then we got to talking about winning the state championship, and I got the eye roll from the girlfriend because she figured out that she can't take me anywhere.
That's awesome. I hope you thank them on behalf of the show.
Oh, I did. And they said they're in Omaha, and we got to talking about football, and I said, well, what radio show do you guys listen to? And they go, 1620, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I said, very good. I said, well, I call in, and they're like, wait a minute, you live in Florida? And I said, yeah. And they go, you're Dave from Florida. I said, yep, the one and only. So I took some pictures and
nice.
got
You
some
took
beverages
pictures?
bought. What's that?
You took pictures?
I took pictures with those kids, yes.
Wow. That's something.
Well, at least this time he didn't name drop. He name dropped to get an autograph from a Minnesota Twin one time.
Yes, I did, and I'm still thankful for that, Gary.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Hey, you know what? The thing about New Orleans, though, with the Nebraska connection, that's where the late Jack Pierce has some of the greatest stories of recruiting in New Orleans and the amount of players that Jack Pierce was able to pull out of there. And it's been an area that has not just Nebraska's connections there, now that Mickey is no longer here. Just they don't have New Orleans connections. But back in the day when Jack Pierce was doing work, man, Nebraska was able to pull some of the best players out of that area, and people would be like, how? I miss those days because usually if a kid from New Orleans came to Nebraska that was recruited by Jack Pierce, he was going to be either an all Big 8 guy or he was going to be a major contributor.
Was Deep Brown the last one we got from that area?
Ooh, that might, which is a long time ago.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for spreading the word, and welcome back to Florida. Just don't go out on the other side of Florida if you want to see the same stuff you saw in New Orleans.
No, I'm good in the sleepy little Northport, Venice area. I'm not a big city guy. If I do, I prefer Nashville. I've been to New Orleans once. I think we're good.
All right. Hey, have a great weekend.
All right, buddy. You too.
That's Southwest Florida Dave, who I think might be going to see the Rays play this weekend.
Nice.
Who the Rays play the Yankees. Who the Yankees will be a visiting team in their spring training home.
And just funny because their spring training home is the same layout as their home field, which is kind of crazy to think about, that you'll be playing in a spot in a away stadium that is the exact same dimensions that are built for you to play in. Wild.
Yeah. Alan says, was unaware I could become famous calling into the show, changing my strategy here.
Hey, Nebraska ball Mike, he takes some pictures with people, I'm sure.
He does. The only person that we've not heard of encounters out in the public, and he called in the first hour, Random Mike.
Yeah.
Like, I would take a picture with Random Mike.
As would I.
I can't wait to
Because
meet
Random
Andrew.
Mike has got a very distinctive voice.
Yeah.
Because he's been calling into sports talk shows in Omaha for, 25 years.
I can't wait to meet Andrew. I know it's going to come. Can't wait to take that picture.
All right, 2 in the books, 2 to go. A little bit later, Steve Sipp will stop by, Brian Edwards. When we come back, so Nebraska, Harley Gilmore's going to Kentucky. Jack McAllister is in the portal. And spring football rolls on today. Why is it so quiet? This will be right up the alley of a former guest on the show. We'll do that when we come back after the top of the hour on 1620 The Zone. So this is not AC/DC, but Metallica is going to play a concert at Virginia Tech in Lane Stadium.
Hell yes.
So Enter Sandman is Virginia Tech's open when they run on the field. I don't know if Metallica has ever played there, but this is, if you're going to use a song, like if that is your entrance song in college football, you should have the group come and perform. Like, how come Alan Parsons Project, and excuse me if I don't know, they may not be around anymore, like physically. Why didn't we get ever Alan Parsons Project to come and play Sirius live or to play a concert in Lincoln?
I've never understood. I've asked this question before because they do it for WrestleMania.
Great, we're gonna get the Killigans in a couple years.
The best.
They already performed.
The best WrestleMania entrances ever are like when they bring out the live band, like when Living Color comes out for CM Punk, or when the whole piano set, like they had a whole orchestra last year come out for Roman Reigns when they sang, like they get a live performance. Think of some of like your best boxing entrances as well. Like Canelo Alvarez a couple of years ago, Cinco de Mayo weekend.
50 Cent will sing. He'll rap as you go to the ring.
I mean, it's absolutely incredible when you get a live. I don't know why. I haven't.
We need a house band.
I've never seen a live entrance, like a live performance entrance for college football before. That would be electric. That would be absolutely incredible.
Either that or, by the way, the Chiefs used to have a live band. Tony Pardo.
Yep.
They played.
The TD Pack
they were in the end zone. Having a live band for the entrance would be pretty cool. But how about doing a concert? Like Metallica playing at Lane Stadium in Blacksburg is pretty cool. I don't know if they played there before, and they're out like on a tour. And by the way, they're still sound really good in concert.
Yeah.
Would be that. I wonder if that was their connection to go play in Blacksburg, is that Enter Sandman is so connected to Virginia Tech football.
Who would you want a memorial?
You have to have Alan Parsons Project.
Oh, you're just going. You're just going off of that thing. I was just asking.
Metallica is not random. Like there's a connection to Virginia Tech.
I was gonna say what just band, like if you had to pick one band or one artist in general right now to play at Memorial Stadium, who would it be?
It'd be
not Bill Haley and the Comets. No.
No.
I think it would have to be Zach Bryan. I think that like for how much people like country here and how popular he is and how many good songs and how good it would sound in Memorial Stadium. And you get the younger and older audience,
but you'd have to sell out Memorial Stadium. You're not going to do a stadium show where you're not going to sell it out.
I think Zach Bryan could sell out Memorial Stadium.
I think George Strait could sell out Memorial Stadium.
George Strait.
He is the king.
George Strait would be good.
Chris Stapleton?
I don't know they'd sell out Memorial Stadium.
You don't think Chris Stapleton could sell out Memorial Stadium?
No. I don't think so.
PBA would be jam-packed, though.
Well,
I would go to
sold out here 2 nights, right? Wasn't it 2 years ago in 2020? What 3?
But you have to find it. You'd have to find an artist that could 80,000, at least 80,000.
There are only so many.
One night, 80,000 people.
I think Stapleton could do it. I think Bryan would be close. I think Chris Stapleton could do it.
I told you guys that Zach Bryan was their first choice because they were worried about Nebraska volleyball day.
That would have been incredible.
That they would only get about 25,000. That if they added Zach Bryan, they would get an extra 10 to 15. So they'd have 40,000. They'd be happy with it. And all of a sudden, they started, because they did not have their musical act secured when they started. They knew they were going to have a concert.
Yeah.
But they did not have the musical act secured. Then they started selling tickets. And day one of selling tickets, they're like, yeah, we're going to sell a lot more. And where the concert will not be the focus. It'll be the volleyball match.
Isn't that incredible that they had the idea that they had to do a concert in order to get people there? And it just, the concert ended up being the most forgettable thing about that day. Like, you have to remind people. Scotty McCreery, who, by the way, got a little bit unnecessary hate when he was announced. I think people were like, oh my God, you couldn't get someone bigger. I like Scotty.
He loved his time. His last hit, his whole music video was from that night.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, there was a lot of people.
All right. Matt Rule speaks later this morning. I'm sure he'll be asked about Jack McAllister and what is next. But he will also has done something that I think is planned. I know you were telling me, hey, I want to hear some names. I want to hear some chatter about what's going on in spring football.
Yes, we've been lacking that a little bit.
So this is where we're going, folks.
It's already 8 o'clock. So
we're going towards Quiet Springs. There's no game. There's a showcase. There's Husker games. It's a week from Saturday. Nobody has, even in Lincoln, nobody really knows what to expect because it'll all be predicated on the weather on that Saturday, on people that are on the fence. If you're going, you're already going. You probably purchased tickets. You made plans. But if the weather is good, and I haven't looked, because that would be in the 10-day window. I haven't looked. They expect a good walk-up. But they're not over the top, hey, we're going to get 65,000. And they really don't know. They don't know what's going to show up. So a lot of schools are in this time now of what do we do with this day in the spring that used to be some places a big day, and now it's kind of a meh. But I think this is where we're going with springs and being quiet. But I also think would you agree that Matt Rule is very cognizant of what is said about his program?
Yes.
Whether it be on the radio, whether it be in the newspaper, on TV, online.
Yes.
He doesn't spend his time sifting through message boards and stuff, but he asks people what the general opinion and what is being said about his program. And if, he's dinged a couple of reporters.
74 with AM showers next Saturday, but a sunny day.
Okay. He's dinged a couple of reporters on some things that have been said about his program in his 2+ years here. So he is very aware of what is being said on the outside. He is not consumed by it, but he's very aware. I think the quiet spring they've had in Nebraska is intentional because he's a little bit of all of this, whether you're being sarcastic or not, about Nebraska winning off-season titles. So that becomes a theme. So you know what we're going to do? We're just going to do business, and we're not going to make it this big, grandiose, big press conferences, names being mentioned, going crazy. We're going to have a nice, quiet spring. I think it's intentional.
It is absolutely intentional. And you go back to the offseason championship, right, or winning offseason titles. What was the one question this season, this spring, that he just straight up said, no, I'm not going to answer that? It's when someone asked about that. Hey, people say you win off-season championships. What's that narrative? Just completely poo-pooed that way. Said, no. I don't want to talk about that. I think another thing, I don't think it's just, though, I don't want this narrative to be created that, hey, we win off-season titles and then we crap the bed in the fall. I do think they're actually worried about tampering. And I do think they are legitimately.
I think he went down the road of tampering, and I'm like, no.
But I do think that when you go ahead and you say, hey, part of the reason why we aren't doing a spring game is because it was televised and it was everywhere, and we had guys who didn't play in the fall who after the spring game were getting contacted. You allude to the fact that, we're not doing this. We don't want our guys to get tampered with. And then you have a quiet spring where a lot of the things are just kind of generalities of like, oh yeah, the defense looks good, this looks good, and the guys that he's talking about aren't necessarily the superstars, aren't necessarily the top prospects. They're walk-ons or lower guys. Like the fact that he's not talking a lot about players to me tells me as well he doesn't want to show any hands that there are potentially guys that other teams can come and get as well.
See, I think he was completely wrong about the tampering. I think if you know players, and you're going to try and get them if that's what you wish to do. Okay, I don't think. Now, if all of a sudden some just off-the-wall names are being mentioned today, they're probably guys that are going to go into the portal and he's trying to help them.
Yeah,
but if you know, everybody knows that's out there in the free agency business is looking and knows Nebraska's roster. Okay,
sure.
They have their agents that are out there if somebody is considering leaving. I wish he would have just said, you know what? We don't have a full roster. Okay, we don't have the ability to play a spring game like we have in the past. Okay, we're not going to do it. And he said it. He's really the only one that said tampering. Everybody followed Nebraska's lead, and they cut down on what this day was like. But shouldn't it be, if you have been one of those people and have poo-pooed any success that Nebraska football has had in the last couple of years in the offseason, isn't this your dream spring? Because there has been little chatter. There has been news.
No.
We've covered it. But if you are like, oh, hang another banner, you're like, man, that program might be serious in Lincoln. They're not feeding into anything. They're just going about their business. They're not talking out of their
Yeah.
They're just doing a quiet spring. You should be in love with Nebraska football.
If you're like that, sure. If you're one of those fans that are like that, that's fine.
Well,
but if
there's
you're
plenty
a fan,
that are out there.
But if you're a fan that just wants content, that wants to learn more about the team, that is looking for excitement, that's looking to get ready for the season, that wants to learn more about this team and about a lot of the new. I mean, there's a lot of new names on this roster that there are going to be things that are expected from them, and maybe not necessarily new, but guys maybe that were deeper in the depth chart that are going to have a bigger role. And you have a conglomerate of fans who want to know more about the team, and they're not getting that. And so maybe for the fans who don't like the Kool-Aid drinking, who don't like the offseason hype, sure, the fact that this has been a pretty quiet spring is great, but I think there are a lot of fans who want to know more about this team, who enjoyed that randomly from March to April it became football season.
I love this spring. You know why? Because they're going to go into 2025 as a little bit of a mystery. You think you know, but you don't fully know. And so I think that's okay. I think this has been a good spring. You're a content guy. You want content. You want names to be mentioned. I'm telling you.
I want a little bit more. Yeah, I want to learn a little bit more.
But you have to understand, when it comes to spring attention, always around here, the biggest spring game attendances, for the most part, have been when there's been a quarterback battle. When there has been a quarterback job that has been open, that usually draws the most attention in spring. You don't have a quarterback job. It is not sexy to talk about Mason Goldman. It is not sexy to talk about Amari Sanders. No offense, but those are not guys that are like, oh, they're fighting for the second team or whatever. I think this is the future, and I'm okay with it. I would love to have a lot of information and be able to see a lot more and have an open scrimmage. But I'm okay with this because it is a mystery. It is a great mystery. The person that is the most upset is Phil Steele. Because how's Phil Steele going to do his magazine? He watches every single spring game. Now Phil Steele, magazine might be pushed back to August 4th, not July 4th.
There are a lot of unique things about college football that have been eliminated over the last couple of years, okay? And I think that having spring ball in general is one of those unique things where it's like, man, it brings hope. Randomly in the year, you're just talking about players, talking about acquisitions, talking about coaches, trying to figure out what is the team going to look like in 8 months. And I think or 4 or 5 months, however long the season is. I just don't like how now it's become a little bit like NFL training camp in a way, where it's like, okay, yeah, the players are here, they're practicing, we have what we have, you'll see what they look like.
No, not training camp. How about OTAs?
OTAs.
Yes. OTAs. Because when we get to August, it'll be completely different around here.
Sure.
It'll be normal. We're just going to have to get used to spring is going to be quiet.
I don't like
and
that.
It'll be handled by OTA where there is less media
coverage, less intel,
their media
less
availability
knowledge.
has been the same. It's just, I think it's okay. I think it's okay to be quiet.
Spring. I don't like a quiet spring.
Well,
I don't. I just like that. I like to know it's one of those things where it's college football.
It forces, it forces people to think outside of the box, think for themselves. You know what? What's that going to be like?
But out of every year for there to be a quiet spring, I do think this is the most curious, considering it is the most, at least my time following this team, it's the one where you don't know a lot about it to begin with. Like there are guys on this team where it's a lot of based off of potential, right? We have an idea of what the D-line is going to look like. We have an idea of what the pass rush is going to look like. We have an idea of what the O-line might look like. We have an idea of what the running backs might look like. And now we want more. I want to hear more. I want to know what's the development looking like.
I think this is going to make better fans because you will get away from groupthink. Okay? You'll have to think on your own about, I wonder if that guy is doing this and this. I love this spring.
But I think I
love this spring. I think this is the way to go for the spring.
I don't like the idea of having more fans who just, kind of now wait in the weeds until August. Like once December's done, they kind of just have to, all right, I don't know a whole lot. I guess I'm like, I just feel like sometimes the lack of a loud spring could potentially create a bit of a disconnect from your more casual fans in terms of the knowledge and things that they know about your team, right?
So you think a quiet April will chase away the fan?
I don't think it's
going to
chase.
August?
I don't think it's going to chase away the fan. But I do think it's better when your casual fans know more about the team, know more about the names that are going to be playing, could potentially make connections with those players before they start playing.
I think it adds to opening
positive.
night. Now, when they get to camp, it'll be completely different when we get to August. But I think it adds some intrigue to your opening game.
I think it adds intrigue in a different way, though. I think the intrigue was always going to be the same, whether it was a loud spring or a quiet spring, right?
But you're saying that you don't know enough, so now you're waiting. Okay, is what I'm hearing is really, really true? Because you don't really get validated in the spring game. Okay.
Oh no, you're right.
Yeah, like that guy's had a good spring, and then you see him, and then he disappears once you get to August.
But when there's a loud spring, it creates excitement, and it creates this idea that, hey, these guys have a lot of potential. These guys may be better or could be great or whatever than maybe we think. And so when you get to that first game, you still have the excitement, you still have the intrigue, you still have the mystery of, hey, is this guy actually going to be as good as maybe we think he is? Now that intrigue is completely different. The intrigue is still there. It's probably at the same level, but I have no damn clue what they're going to look like or what this guy's going to look like.
I think it's great that they're a mystery team and they've been very, very quiet.
I think my quarrel is more so with the fact that I just enjoy the fact that springs were a really, really big deal, just across college football in general, that springs were a really, really big deal. And it almost brought it was the beginning of the calendar year, and you could start looking forward to football, and it gave you that kind of boost during the months of the year when there are not a ton of sports that maybe you enjoy are going on. Now that we have these that are closer to OTAs, I'm not a fan.
I think this is where we're going. I think
you're absolutely right. And I'm not happy about it.
And off-season championship will not be validated in the spring.
I like thinking a lot about football in March.
We have thought about a lot in March.
Not as much as we just...
Well, then that's on you. Well, that's on the person that does that. I mean, there's no limitation just because it's a quiet spring that you can't think about football.
It's a good point.
Andrew, stay right there. Matt would like to talk to you. That's coming up next on 1620 The Zone. Hey, did you guys see yesterday? Nebraska baseball teased a bobblehead for the 2nd of May.
I was going to ask you at some point during the show because you would have a much better. Have they done so? Let's just because you announced the team, you have an incredible history of the stuff. Have they done a Darren Erstad bobblehead before? Have they had done an Alex Gordon bobblehead before?
Oh, I think so. They've done a Comine. I think they've done an Alex Gordon bobblehead. I don't know about Erstad.
Okay. Here's a weird one.
Yeah.
Because he's playing really, really well right now. Would you do a Spencer Schwellenbach this soon out of the gate?
Well, it's a batter.
Oh, it is. You're right.
It
is swinging. That's a good point. I forgot about that. My bad.
I could see down the road.
Yeah.
I think it's Jake Myers.
Oh, that is a very good guess. I like that. Okay.
That's who I think it is, but they teased a bobblehead.
Would there be a reason to do, if they haven't already done a Darren Erstad bobblehead? Is there an anniversary or something like that of him?
I don't know. I don't think he'd be opposed to it or anything.
No, I don't. Oh my God. I'm telling you right now, I think I'm actually going to have a bobblehead at my wedding.
Are you going to inform your bride?
Yeah.
Or are you just going to do your own bobblehead?
Look, there's some non-negotiable. Look, I understand that weddings are her day.
Hold on.
I understand that weddings are the wife's days. It's the wife's day, and then you're just there. You're along for the ride. But I feel like you can have, as the groom, 1 or 2 non-negotiables of like, hey, no. Like
Clay,
we got to have this. Like, if I want a steak with chimichurri.
We looked into it.
What'd you say?
We looked into it.
Looked into what?
Ray Clay at our wedding.
He's a former PA announcer for the Chicago Bulls.
Chicago, appreciate it. Like bobblehead and steak.
You're going to have a bobblehead of yourself.
And maybe my wife if she wants to be a part
don't say maybe.
There's no maybe when
you will have a bobblehead of both of you.
Okay. And
you will come out to Sandstorm and it'll be beautiful.
We'll have a bobblehead of both of us. We're doing bobbleheads. And we're doing steak with chimichurri.
Okay.
Done and dusted.
Okay.
That's it. Everything else, the curtains can be a certain way. The cloths can be a certain way. You can have whatever flowers you want.
If she wants Hot Pockets, you're having Hot Pockets.
No. We are having steak with chimichurri. But if whatever band she wants, I don't care. I don't give a damn. All right? Whatever venue, whatever.
Correction. Whatever she wants, period, is what will
I'm getting a bobblehead.
You know what? Why don't you talk with your good friend here about marital advice? Here is Andrew. Good morning, Andrew.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, we're doing wonderful. How you doing?
Drew.
Good. Matt, I love your bobblehead idea.
Thank you, Andrew. Finally, someone with some sense.
I thought for a white elephant gift is to get a bobblehead of myself and give it as a present.
It's actually kind of funny.
That'd be great. That would be a classic white elephant.
With this quiet Nebraska football, I kind of like it. You don't get your hope. You don't hear like this guy's going to be great, and then you're already kind of marking wins that probably aren't wins. And also, it's good for the players to be humbled a little bit, just to go to work and not listen to the media talking about how great they are.
Yeah, because they had too big of heads. That's why they were losing games.
Well, no, I'm just saying. Matt, why do we have to argue?
I'm not arguing. I'm just saying I don't think that's a great point. But at the same time, you can like what you like. You can like the silence. You can like the mystery. You can like the intrigue. I like to know a little bit more. And I also want to reiterate once again, Andrew, it's a lot more about just college things that I like in college football in general. And springs being a big deal across college football, I've always enjoyed. I don't like the idea that once again we're taking away something I liked from the game.
Well, I'll hate to burst your bubble, but it isn't college football anymore.
That's a good point. You're absolutely right.
So what is it? Is it?
It's semi-pro. Let's just call it what it is.
I think that, so with the latest situation that we get a little chaotic with Nico, I'm leaving to Westwood. I do think they're in a really weird spot of we'd like to still be amateurs, but we know we're pros, but what do we call ourselves? So you're going to go with semi-pro.
I would call
I like
it
that.
just a nursing.
I like that.
I like that you didn't call NFL light, because it really is an NFL light, and I think we're throwing that verbiage around a little bit too much. Like, because
it's until when we get contracts, it is NFL light.
When we get contracts, currently right now with no CBA and no market or anything like that, it's a little bit different than the NFL. We'll get there though eventually.
I was thinking about this the other day. Okay, you know how some schools, if you don't do well in school, you
get kicked out.
Get kicked out if you have a bad first semester. You're on probation, and then
you can be on it for 2 straight semesters in Nebraska. You just can't be on it for a third.
So does it? You can transfer, and it wouldn't even matter, would it?
No, I don't think so.
So really, any part of the education is gone.
I mean, they're still getting a degree, and I'm assuming if a guy has a 0.0 GPA, he won't be allowed to play any sports, that guy or girl, regardless of who they are. Now we have there has been conversations about more online classes for certain athletes because of their popularity, but in general, I mean, they're still going to school, they're still going to class. I mean, Nebraska, very early on, the football team, I don't know if they're still doing it, but when Matt Rule first got here, they were very much doing class checks consistently.
Okay.
Now that was I don't know if they're still doing it, but they were doing that when first 2 years.
All right. I just wondered if they had to fulfill any educational obligations anymore.
Yeah, they still got to go to school.
Yeah,
they still got to complete the necessary hours to be a full-time student, even if you're a graduate.
Okay.
Yep. All right, Andrew. Thanks for the phone call. They've changed the wording in Lincoln. Academic warning.
Come on, they've softened that now.
So
they soften everything.
So I had a 1.87.
That's still in the. I got nothing.
It'd be a hell of an ERA.
It would.
So
187.
That is a good one.
So
I love it. I love it when people go 33% and you'll be like, well, you'd be in the Hall of Fame for batting. I've never heard of the ERA one. That's a good one.
You can't. So 2 consecutive semesters you can't. But if you're on academic probation for 3 straight semesters, which is below a 2.0, is you're out. You're in a got-to-go situation. So you can have academic recovery. Like that 3rd semester, like you can bounce back and get that GPA above 2.
Load up that non-con schedule with 4,
Yeah. I found out the other day that Lexi Rodriguez is a UNL College of Journalism graduate.
Yes, she
Many
is.
are.
Had no clue.
Gary Sharp.
You never saw her there?
I never saw her there once. Now,
wait a minute.
She is all academic Big Ten. So clearly she, graduated, did her homework, did everything she needed to
shady
do.
There.
Proud grad. I just never saw her once. I had no clue. It was a surprise to me. They got to protect them sometimes. And I get it, because if she was walking around the hallways all the time at the Co-JMC, I'm sure they would be quite exhausting for her with the amount of people looking and whispering and talking and,
really?
trying to get...
It's like high school.
Oh, yeah.
No, I think it would be... You really think that students...
1,000,000%.
Like
without a
would
doubt.
Whisper, there it goes.
Oh, no. Oh,
She's
yeah.
on TV.
If she was walking around the building, for sure. I've seen it happen firsthand with athletes where they're walking around the building. Even the teachers are like, oh, my, yeah, I saw this player here. I saw this player here. This player came here. Especially for football, yeah.
That's why, kids, you're an athlete. Don't go to school to play school, okay?
Yeah.
Just go there to play your sport. I think there should be majors in sports. I think you should be able to go to Nebraska and major in football. You want a basketball. You know what?
Now,
Creighton can be a little bit strenuous academically. I didn't come to Creighton to play academics. I came to play basketball, so you get a degree in basketball.
There really is no problem with in majoring in that and then making sure they get the gen eds out of the way, because you do have to do the 2 years of gen eds. And then if it doesn't work out for you,
do a semester of shop.
Well, no, they actually have to take
cars and home ec and stuff.
They have to take classes. I mean, they should
Shop's
take
a class.
Shop's a class.
Didn't John Bender teach you?
God.
John Bender took
I think
shop.
there needs to be like a history class.
Mr. Getting at Urbandale is going to come after you.
I'm just saying.
Shop was like a big deal.
I think everybody should be required to take some history classes.
They do. They take
World
history.
War I, World War II, Cold War. Let's just learn about the wars.
Is that your power ranking of the wars?
Wait, didn't you mention that last night as a game we could all play?
What?
Breaking down the wars?
No, that I didn't mention that, but I think someone did.
Could be another game along with the McMasters.
Ranking the World War II, then the Cold War, then World War One, for sure. We're doing the power ranking.
I don't have a power ranking of wars for you. I didn't do this prep work this morning.
There are athletes though who do go to classes. Like I had I mean, there are
Hey,
plenty.
hey.
And I had classes of Javen Wright and Miles Farmer and a couple of soccer players. There's archived film out there of Kyle Perry and I doing a sportscast rundown.
Okay.
It's quite funny.
Where would you place the Civil War in your ranking of wars?
In between the Cold War and World War II.
It's a big deal.
Wow,
It is a very big deal.
Wow.
Nam wouldn't be too high.
You can never be too high.
Never be too high on Nam.
Well, there's from Mike Riley to Mike Bellotti. They would agree with you.
100 Years War was pretty great.
The Franco-Prussian War.
That's a great shot, Jimmy.
The I-4 War.
Who does that involve?
Central Florida and South Florida.
The Border War.
The Border War.
Which comes back this year.
Farmageddon is in between probably World War I and the Cold War.
Don't say that in Manhattan. They take it seriously.
I think people in Manhattan would put Farmageddon above World War I.
Mm-hmm.
There were some people in Chicago who were convinced that Farmageddon was Iowa versus Nebraska.
Well, I'm here to tell you it's not.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why that was the thing.
Steve Sipple, a man of many wars through his life. His body has shown the effects of the many wars that Sip has been through. His wars against Nebraska basketball fans. Sip just wants an NCAA victory.
Sip wants a lot of things. That and full body deodorant.
Yeah?
Yeah. He's an advocate.
Hope we all wear them. All right. Gary Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. Is it me? All right, welcome back in. Gary and Matt, 1620 The Zone. I think it's not a done deal yet. I think there'll be more UCLA games that get nice spots for this upcoming year. At a place where it's hard to find people on campus and off campus that care about UCLA football.
It is.
But they will have a guy named Nico. You can't pronounce his last name. You just know him as Nico. I would think that UCLA might find themselves into a couple of better TV spots just because of the curiosity.
It is such a good, we're talking a lot about him and specifically in Tennessee. I need to throw it out there right now how great this is for UCLA. The fact that they were able to get an elite level prospect who's played at the highest level of college football, did he light the SEC on fire? No, but he's still pretty dang good. And he's got a lot of potential to be even better. The fact that they were able to get that guy and then even get him at a pretty from what the reports are, is a pretty reasonable price. I mean, you've seen anywhere from 175 to close to what he was originally making in Tennessee. But for them to go from Ethan Garbers, who is a good athlete and an okay quarterback, and if he stays at UCLA, he's actually a decent backup option. But to go from that guy to a dude who could be a legitimate first-round draft pick just like that is absolutely massive. I mean, we're talking so much about Nico and so much about Tennessee and so much about how it went down and why it's bad for college football. I feel like everybody's forgetting the fact that UCLA has just completely upgraded the most important position on the field.
Yes, they have, but they also have brand new offensive coordinator.
Yes. And they don't have a lot of returning wide receivers either.
They lost 4 of their top 5 wide receivers. Then they lose their 2 top running backs. They have questions on the offensive line. But you know what? It's Southern California. This is, I look like a place like Sacramento State, which apparently has just a tick under more money than God. That would be a place where I would go all in to pay a just obnoxious amount of money to get him to play for me because the attention it would bring to your program.
Sure.
If you have all this money, why weren't you in the game? But Dad probably didn't want to go to Northern California, wanted to stay in Southern California.
You still have to play with the brands. You still have to be with the brand. Okay? I mean,
but if you were, so is the offense? Wait a minute. Tennessee's offense was more equipped, better than UCLA. Wait a minute. Is it about the money? Wouldn't you then look at Dad? Just stop. Dad Nico and Dad. I think he's a dad. Nico Harrison. Just stop. Just stop talking. But there's another part of outside of the old NIL and how much you should pay, and we celebrate Fran Brown because he set the market for wide receivers and saying, I'm not going to
pay that guy $2 million.
Pay a guy $2 million. Where remember, 20% of your salary pool for college football down the road is probably going to be allocated to a quarterback. So that's about $3 million is going to be the going rate for an elite quarterback. Whether they've done anything or not, that's 20% of your salary pool. So coaches are going to have to make harsh decisions on how they're going to spend that. But the other part that I looked at with Nico and Tennessee, because there's the truth of the reality, Tennessee's kind of screwed right now.
Big time.
Tennessee is, unless they go and grab, Jack Smith from South Alabama, or they've got something in the works where a big name will drop into the portal, and the next thing they know, they're in Knoxville. Tennessee is kind of screwed, but this is where we have to learn a lesson. We can't attach ourselves to a quarterback, and your quarterback in one move can bring down your program. That's why I am a firm believer every year be recruiting 2 quarterbacks. Okay? You're not going to keep them, but recruiting 2 quarterbacks. Like Nebraska, for example. They have Dylan. So Dylan going to be here next year.
Mm-hmm.
Here comes Dayton. Right now, Dayton is the only guy in Nebraska's 26 class. Could you go get a portal guy? Certainly you could. Then in 27, they're waiting on a decision on May 1. I always think you got to get 2 quarterbacks, even with the understanding that not everybody's going to stay. Because what do you think the quarterback room looks like in 2026? Okay, my thing is don't become so attached to a quarterback that if they go down with an injury or they leave, it wrecks your program. 2026 quarterback room. Would you like to take a gander on what that would look like with 2 Raiolas and
Latif and Trey Taylor And
Well, he'd be
Davila.
27.
He'd be 27.
But Dayton would be in.
Dayton would be there. Davila would be in there. Latif would be in there.
I mean,
There's options.
do options? Yes.
If Dillon goes down.
But you can't attach yourself to a quarterback. Like, do we expect a true freshman and he would be redshirt, first year playing, probably not playing, maybe he's the third string quarterback. You'd wait another year. I mean, do we expect a Latif and a Davila to be here next year? It'd be great if they were.
Sure.
That would show you that,
I
okay,
wouldn't.
they've but it's just the nature of the business that, you know, maybe one of them is going to move on after a year of development or a year playing as a backup.
I think also, too, you can't have the fear of being wrong in that regard, too, or the fear of like letting the wrong guy go, or the fear of having a quarterback and then them going elsewhere and end up being really, really good. I think you can't hold back. Like, you can't allow that fear of like, we don't want to look bad if we recruit two of these guys and then one of them leaves and we pick the wrong one. You cannot have that fear of, oh, we're going to have egg on our face if we don't make the right decision, because if you consistent, like to your point, if you consistently do that and you're consistently getting two quarterbacks and you're consistently having insurance, eventually you'll probably make the right decision. You'll probably develop the right quarterback, right? And like, you have to, it is the most important position in the game. And I think a lot of NFL teams, like there has been a lot of discussion in the NFL too of, how about we just, unless you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes, let's just draft a quarterback every year. Like, that's been a legitimate strategy that teams have thought about. Like, let's just continue to draft dudes year after year until we find who we have.
When is the best time to draft a quarterback? When you don't need a quarterback.
Exactly. And
it's like looking for jobs.
It boggles my mind.
No pressure.
It boggles my mind to this day that the Pittsburgh Steelers.
True, though.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I said it's like looking for jobs. As people say, it's easier to look for jobs when you have a job versus others. So that's very true with a quarterback. If you don't need one, that's when you need to invest.
It just
because then you find out quickly we should have invested in a quarterback.
It boggles my mind that the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are such an incredible organization, like failed to do that with Ben Roethlisberger when the writing was on the wall.
Yep.
Right.
And like paid for it.
And I think college football, you have a bit of an advantage in that regard, because it's not necessarily guys falling off a cliff. It's just, well, they ran out of eligibility. Like Nebraska knows that in an ideal world, Dylan Raiola is not going to be their quarterback in 2 seasons because he'll be off to the NFL getting drafted, right? That's the ideal world. So they can prepare for that in that regard. And so when you're preparing like that, I think the number one thing is obviously got to be good at recruiting, obviously got to be good at developing, but you cannot have that fear of like, oh, I hope we pick the right guy at the end of the day. You just got to go out and get the 2 guys and put yourself in the best insurance possibility you can.
I think ESPN's in trouble here. I looking over your shoulder.
In more ways than one.
No, because they were showing Shedeur Sanders highlights.
Was it misses again? Were they showing his bad throws?
So they show his throw in the third quarter against Nebraska out in Boulder 2 years ago, but their stock footage of Shedeur Sanders is the same. They show an underthrown ball to Horn on an out that Horn had a dive to make a catch, and then they just showed, and I don't know what the discussion is. Schefter is one of the people on Get Up. Yeah. They showed the Tommy Hill pick in Lincoln.
All the games that they do for Colorado, you think they'd have more file footage.
Deion's going to be on the phone. He's going to be calling Bristol right now, and it's like, what is that? You should not be showing it. But they show 3 throws involving Nebraska. The touchdown pass to Hunter. Then they show the short, he underthrew it, and Horn had a dive to make a catch near the sidelines in the third quarter in Lincoln. And then they show the Tommy Hill pick 6. I'm like, whoa.
Don't you find it interesting he's not going to the draft?
Well, I asked you the other day, I said, wasn't he invited? Because there's only 3 quarterbacks that are going, Ward, Dart, and Milroe. You said he was invited?
Everybody gets invited. If you're projected to be one of the first round picks, or even like Milroe's a guy who's probably going to go in the early second, you get an invite.
It's true. Matt did text me about this.
Yeah,
very worried.
You get it. I was very worried because I loved it back in the day when you had damn near everybody in the green room and you had the cameras on everybody. And if some people were falling, you can zoom in on them. I love.
Shout out Aaron Rodgers,
Brady Quinn, Lamar Jackson, Will Levis. Like I love those moments. I'm very curious as to why. Like for a guy who it's all about the brand, you want the spotlight, you have the cameras in your face. Like it would be a really big. Travis Hunter's going to go number 2 overall. You would think that Dion would want to be there to see a guy who's damn near his 4th son, to congratulate and be with him. I find it interesting he's not going to be there at the draft.
Does Shedeur have a side project?
That's what I wonder.
That would conflict with the NFL, that they will do a game day, draft day following Shedeur.
Yeah.
I think
hosted by Mark Jones.
I think it's out of fear. I think he's not going to be there because they're afraid he's going to drop. I mean, a lot of the info that I'm reading is that New Orleans, if they're going to draft a quarterback, they're going to take Jackson Dart, if anybody. So now you're looking at either the Giants, who seem like they are split on whether or not they want to take him, or Carter. Like, either they fall, like they're like, all right, we're going to do it, and he goes 3 overall, which is a big moment, or you got to wait all the way till 21 to even get to a team where you're like, for sure, okay, they would take a quarterback. Which, if you get past New Orleans, knowing how big of Shedeur is, you know that camera, every pick, is going to be on him until they get to 21. And then what happens if the Steelers pass on him? I think he's afraid. I don't think he wants to put himself in that situation. I think he just wants to stay home, and when he gets picked, they'll put the camera on him. And
maybe he hates Green Bay. He hates cold weather.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, real cold weather. Not Boulder cold, but Green Bay cold.
I mean, it's not exactly a paradise in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's lovely.
Pittsburgh's wonderful.
Great
Great people.
District. It ain't Cabo.
I see light. Cobb, nothing is.
I'm just talking about it being hot.
Omaha's not Cabo
either. Is Goodell doing work? Do we have a team in Cabo?
Mm-hmm. They want to put a team everywhere.
Your Chicago Bulls are already in Cancun.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, Cancun.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, by the way. Number 1 in attendance, by the way. Number 1.
The Bulls were
number 1 in attendance this year.
They used to be number 1 in basketball.
Number 1 in attendance.
That is
a disgrace.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That'd be tough. That'd be tough as a father telling your young son about what the Bulls used to be.
Well, I didn't. You're talking to one, man.
They do love Caleb Williams, though. Imagine going to the UC last night in Chicago. You watch your basketball team lose by 20, and you get concussed by Caleb Williams throwing a football into the crowd.
What was he wearing? I wasn't a big fan of what he was wearing. I'm not with the sty nowadays.
I had one of those once. They're painful.
Just root for him on Sundays. Just show up on Sundays. You can do whatever you want. Wear funky hats. Wear McDonald's clothing.
Just throw the out route. Just throw it.
Praise your love of when will McDonald's bring back the McDLT?
Is the Andrew Reese deal still out? I gotta grab that.
It's for a limited time at participating McDonald's in the greater Omaha area.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah. Why don't they bring back the McDLT?
What is the McDLT?
You guys don't know? They had the two they'd give it to you in a styrofoam two container thing.
Yeah. Never heard of it.
It was a hamburger that was treated like a BLT.
Mm-hmm.
So it had okay.
That's great.
Yeah. It was basically it was a hamburger BLT.
Mm-hmm.
I'll eat that.
Yeah.
Sounds
but
good.
they would split the buns, so in one container would be the bun with the BLT stuff, and then the other would be the hamburger, and that's how they served it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the styrofoam McDLT.
Look it up. I gotta look it up.
Look it up.
One of Mayor McCheese's great accomplishments.
You know, another thing that McDonald's should do is they should bring back the birthday parties.
My first one was there.
Yeah.
March of 1984. Banger.
You think they bring back snack wraps?
No. Too healthy.
I always like the snack wraps.
Here's the other thing while I'm on this McDonald's kick.
Yeah, go ahead.
And this is also for you,
oh my
you
God.
Taco Bells and everything else. We need to get away from, why are we so enamored with squares? Why do we like the square? You know what? There was some uniqueness to the Taco Bells and the McDonald's and the restaurants that looked like they did. Now everything's a square. We're built, Starbucks, look, they're a square.
This
Wendy's
is like,
burgers
I'm
have
telling
always
you right
been
now, this
square.
McDLT styrofoam.
Yes, it wasn't a
casing,
metaphor. It was a real thing.
This is like a collector's item. Like that. That's like the type of thing you would like hang up.
Well,
or
I'm
try
sure
and
like
find.
if you bought it back in the day and you still have it, it looks exactly the same.
Yep. Got to ask some questions. Ask Bill Nye.
No comment.
Steve Sipple coming up here in about 20 minutes at 1620 The Zone. All right, Mr. Mike Eckler, this is your chance to make a splash. James Ferguson Reynolds, 2 years ago, led the country in punting. Australian, Boise State, popular guy. They have a banner of him on the stadium in Boise. Make a big deal, make a big splash. Need a punter. He fits everything you are looking for. I have researched enough. James Ferguson Reynolds. I may even contact him myself.
I have a feeling. I just feel like if they either already contacted the guy, like I feel like they have a guy in mind. So we'll see if it ends up being him or ends up being somewhere else. But I think we kind of know all the traits, right? Like it's going to be a dude who can kick very far, who can kick Australian style. Now, a new thing in Australian style punting, or just punting in general, is guys who can kick with multiple feet, with both feet, who can kick with their left foot.
So we have the Pat Venditti of punting?
Yes. No, seriously. This is something that has been in development where it's like you can I'm being serious. I've talked to people about this, that you have some punters.
Who have you talked to?
This is
People in
hard
football.
hitting
No,
Australian.
give me a name.
I'm not giving you a name.
Give me a name.
I'm not giving you a name.
Give me a name.
But
I've talked to people in football that this is a
there are
In
people
Australia.
I'm being serious.
like who
I have
would
been
be who would
told-
you be talking to?
People in football
Like Kurt, who travels to Brisbane and he's seen
Know
it
where's the ball.
firsthand.
that I'm being serious. I'm being serious. You know that meme?
I don't think that was
Irish.
that was
I'm being
Irish.
serious.
Rory.
No, I know that's the meme. The meme is an Irish guy saying, "I'm being serious."
But aren't we talking about an Australian?
Yeah, I know, but I was just saying a meme out
A
loud.
lot today.
You've lost me in Adelaide.
Look out. The guy might be able to kick with both feet.
Geelong used to be a power in the 90s.
Might be able to kick with both feet. How cool would that be if Nebraska had a punter that could kick with their left foot and the right foot?
That would be amazing, and that would be very, very popular. Is there anybody that has done this, either as a punter or a kicker? I mean,
Looking
it would be a weapon because you would not know what foot the ball was coming off of.
It would.
Could you be good at both? You know, like 'cause
While
we're
not
seeing-
incredibly common,
we're
some
seeing less
punters are.
switch hitters in baseball.
While I should know this. While not incredibly common, some punters are known to be capable of kicking with either foot, though it's more typical for punters with a dominant foot. Torrey Taylor, for example, has demonstrated the ability to punt with either foot, and Ricardo Chavez, a college prospect, also
Not
kicks with
related.
his right foot but punts with his left foot.
I think I have heard that before. Like,
Yeah,
not that the punter can do both feet,
sure.
but they kick with one and punt with the other.
I
Okay.
know that this is a development, that there are kickers with this style who have tried kicking with both feet. And I'm curious as to maybe that is something that they maybe delve into because that is a legitimate thing
Right.
where it's like, if
Great.
you got,
Eckler is in search of a Sid Finch.
yeah, sure. I mean, if you got a guy who likes to return from the right side, you give him a left-footed kick, so it turns the other way, so it screws him up. He likes to return from the right side, you give him the other foot. You know, you don't know what foot he's going to kick with until they're rolling.
It would be a huge advantage. Jimmy, we have some news.
I just saw it.
We have some news. This comes from ESPN. Lee Corso will only work one more college game day. It'll be the opening one for Texas, Ohio State, August 30th, and then he will retire.
He's going to go out with Brutus on his head.
Ooh,
The original.
He has to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, cool that it's 100% going to be in Columbus. It's the correct decision.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm glad they get him his moment, and they've announced it, so there will be a lot of
And they can love on him.
tributes yet. And you know what? And it'll be an opportunity for Lee to figure out where on his final show he'll be able to drop an F-bomb.
Mhm. And he should.
Because
What are they gonna do?
that show they just swear.
Yeah.
Nothing but swearing.
He's done it before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Do it one more time.
Kids
Man,
love their bad words.
I'll tell you this right now. Those vignettes that they're going to have and those mini docs that they're going to release and like that game day, I mean, will be a lot about Texas and Ohio State, but
And the
I don't
SEC.
know how many dry eyes there are going to be at the end of that college game day in
Well,
terms
especially
of
with
the
the
effort
humidity.
and the everything that all the anecdotes and everyone who loves them. I mean, an incredible career, a guy who's changed the landscape of how we
Mhm.
cover and how we view college football, and it is only right.
Many mascots can show up. there.
I love that they are doing like, hey, we are for sure doing this. This is for sure his last show. We're going to make sure he gets his due. We're going to make sure he gets his roses, because I'm glad they did that as opposed to we go a whole other season being like, oh, is it maybe not, maybe not, or just them being like, no, we're not going to do anything for him at all.
All right, your move, Big Nude. Nobody's going to watch your show.
Well, fortunately for game day, they've been able to transition from a key element where they've added Saban and they have McAfee. So do they retire the tradition or do they find a way to continue? Instead of, they'll still do the picks at the end, but ending with a mascot head. Now, here's who will have the roughest day. Because I think Corso will embrace this day. Kirk Herbstreit will have a rough day.
Absolutely.
That'll be a really, really rough day. But, like Corso's connection to Nebraska, 38 years. The original sign where signs started to show up on game day was here in Lincoln before the 94 Nebraska-Colorado game, when then Chris Fowler was hosting it. I also wonder if Reese Davis, one of the things he thought about is I can't leave with this being the end for Lee Corso because they have become very, very tight. But it's too bad we won't get Corso back in Lincoln because I would love to see him 25 years later ride the mechanical bull like he did before the Nebraska-Oklahoma game when game day was here in 01.
Remember that well.
Awesome. That is sick. Here's the thing. You talk about the tradition. Will they have someone else do the mascot tradition and whatnot?
I don't think so. They'll still have a guest picker, but not the mascot head. Or maybe they'll make the guest picker put on the mascot head.
No, I don't think they do anything with the mascot head because you know what? I think they've already replaced the tradition. I think the Pat McAfee kick for hundreds of thousands of dollars, that has become the new college game day tradition. They have a guy who has so much charisma, so much passion, loves the sport, and he does this, weird, quirky thing during the broadcast that people legitimately look forward to, that you crowd around the screen and you're like, oh my God, is this college student going to be able to make this field goal in order to make hundreds of thousands of dollars? I think that there is no point in replacing Corso's tradition because I think Pat McAfee's tradition is legit. I think it's a legit thing as they continue to do it and it continues to become a staple. It'll be something where, hey, they're about to get the field goal. And it already is kind of that way.
So Corso has been on since it
started with Brando and Bino.
Yeah. Well, and then you remember not the main one, but when Trev was at ESPN, him and Mark May would do, when they go to the Thursday night game, they wouldn't call it game day, of course. So Corso's going to be 90. So he'll be 90 in August. This is probably 3-4 years after, Lee had some health issues. And because he's such an integral part and Herbstreit is his best friend and has saved him many times on set, I don't think ESPN, I think because of what Corso did and what he means, they weren't going to try and force Corso out. But you've seen he hasn't been on as regular. He doesn't do as many segments anymore. So they've this has been in the works. He's going to turn 90. And good for him that Lee Corso is still on this earth at 90. It makes me appreciate, Jimmy will get this a little bit more than you, Matt, just because he's familiar with him.
Closer to 90, man.
Is Hubie Brown. So Hubie Brown did his last game on ESPN in
was
January.
Still damn good.
Hubie Brown is 91 and hasn't missed a beat. They're saying that the 90 is the new 40.
Is that what they're saying?
Oh, they are saying it.
Medicine is becoming incredible.
Medicine,
yeah. That's
but Hubie Brown, so I watched that game.
Hubie Brown's better than some of the younger guys that do it now.
Exactly. And he's 91.
Yeah.
Of course, they're going to be 90.
Even, I don't know, how old is Rafferty?
Physically, I think he's pushing 80, but everything else spiritually, he's younger than us.
He was by far the best for the NCAA this year in terms of the tournament games, because I think those guys, and we've talked about this before, what separates those guys, those older broadcasters from the younger broadcasters, is the stories, is the knowledge, is what they've, the work that all the experiences that they've had. And I do worry in this day and age of media where you have to get the press pass and you have to get the media pass, and more athletic departments and pro teams are really making it harder for reporters to get into locker rooms and talk to players, that when they were coming up and broadcasting, these guys like Corso and Hubie Brown, it was an open door policy. You could talk to the players, you can drink with the players, you can have a good time. You talked with the owners, you knew the general managers, the coaches, you had that ability to create those stories and have those moments. You don't really have that anymore because there's so much money, there's so much invested in it. Stories can ruin careers and franchises and whatnot, that it's so Loctite that when those guys go, and they're no longer broadcasting, we're going to lose so many great stories about sports. And it's sad to think about in that regard.
So
why do you think I watch those old games many times?
I know.
Because you're old.
Yes.
So you have to be honest here. I mean, it was clearly time. It had been time, and ESPN had to make the decision. I imagine that Herb Street was the one that had the discussion with Corso because their relationship, after Lee had some health setbacks and he still wanted to do it, whether it be from his home in Orlando or he'd be on site, and how much when Herb Street realized that he was starting to struggle and would step in and help him, because you'd always see him reach over and put his hand on him.
Yep.
And so Lee started, you could, and I had a relative who had a little stroke. When they tried to get words out and they would start to shake, a comforting somebody grabbing onto you, you could see that Herb Street would settle Corso a little bit. That's an incredible relationship. And seeing their relationship over the last couple of years, I got to imagine, Herb Street made us all bawl when he was talking about his dog. That will not be, it's not going to be easy for him doing a tribute to Corso, but ESPN is doing the right thing because it became uncomfortable to watch and it wasn't fair to Lee Corso to have him in that situation because he wanted to be there. I think this is the best way to do it, to have him do one game. It's going to be a monster game to kick off the season. You have one game, you say goodbye, and then you move on with the season. And the show has moved on, but they have felt a guy that's been there for 38 years. You still have that element because the headgear picks was a simple idea, and it became a brilliant one that cannot be replicated.
In all honesty, I didn't want to see another year of Lee Corso, another full year of Lee Corso doing game day. And it had nothing to do with the quality. Because you know what? When he still makes his picks, he's still entertaining. You still get the chuckle. You still the putting the headgear on still mattered. It was still a thing. He doesn't dance
with the leprechaun anymore or pester the duck.
But it
both
almost
should be there that day.
That last year and like heading into this year, like there are points where you kind of got a little bit uncomfortable, where you're watching someone who you remember what they looked like when they were sharp. You remember what they looked like when they were at the top of their game, and to see them, not there anymore and clearly deteriorating a little bit, it was tough to watch. And I didn't want to watch that again for another year. But you're absolutely right. This is perfect because it will never, when they do this on the first week of the year, it's not going to be about how does Lee look, how does Lee perform, or anything about that.
You celebrate him.
It's all going to be about everything he's done for not only that network, not only that show, but the game of college football. Yeah. And that's
he understood
exactly
it was
how it should
be. For a lot of people, college football did not begin until the headgear pick. So I'm sure today we'll all go down the rabbit hole and watch all the famous lines of when we say happy trails to Lee Corso. And one of his best ones was where the little kid was on set and he goes, "Not so fast, midget." Steve Sipple joins us next on 1620 The Zone. All right, we welcome in from 93.7 The Ticket. Also, Husker Online on 3.com. It is Stephen M. Sipple, who has covered quite a few games when Lee Corso has been in attendance. And now Corso is retiring after week 1, 38 years. We welcome in a guy who is not retiring and is busier than ever, Steve Sipple. Hello.
Sip.
Yeah, hi guys. How are you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Okay. Everything going well on this beautiful Thursday?
As far as I can tell, it's just kind of
take it hour by hour.
I totally take it hour by hour. That's exactly what I'm.
Are you just trying to go 1-0 every day?
I know. Yeah, I just got done with my morning show, and I'm just kind of figuring out. You got a little time to regroup and then see what happens.
Get in the locker room, make some halftime adjustments, go and attack this Matt Rule presser with as much energy and physicality as possible.
Something like that. What's going on in Omaha?
Oh, lots of stuff going on in Omaha. You wouldn't believe it, Sip. You should come here sometime.
Yeah. We'd love to see you.
Got my hands full.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I know you do. Hey, do you think this quiet spring is intentional?
Well, yes, and I don't know how to answer it. It's quiet as far as we know. I mean, what do I mean by that? We don't have, the access is pretty controlled. I've had some people ask me, what do you think about the quiet spring? I mean, I just would say it's quiet as far as I know. I think it's quiet. You don't know exactly what's going on unless you're there all the time, which we're not as media. There's a lot of assumption in that question, that it seems quiet, but you never, unless you're there every day. For all I know, there was a brawl in the locker room yesterday. I don't know. So that's what it definitely seems quiet. And so I don't know how to answer that really.
Lee Corso just announced he's or ESPN announced that Lee Corso is going to be retiring after 38 years. Week 1 is going to be his last show. Do you have any anecdotes, memories, anything about Lee Corso, anything you appreciate about him specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I just enjoyed I enjoyed the fact he made it as long as he did, and I enjoyed his sense of humor. I don't think he didn't take it too seriously. He took it seriously enough, though, what he did. And he was just part of college football. But no, I don't have any personal anecdotes. I don't know that I've ever met him. Okay. If I did, I can't remember that. But yeah, I just literally heard the news as I was walking out of my radio show. And I just think there's a lot. And I really appreciated the way Herb Street sort of took care of him late in his career. Told me a lot about Herb Street. So yeah, as far as going back to that other question, it's an interesting one. The access is very controlled now at Nebraska, and that's the way I would probably do it too if I was the head coach. And I do think it's been quiet, but there's a lot. I'm getting at this. Sometimes I worry about what I don't know, and that's part of being a reporter. You're always sort of cognizant of, you don't want to be that guy that thinks you know everything. Mm-hmm. It's what you don't know that usually catches you.
Should we think we know that Mike Eckler has a plan and Matt Rule has a trust of his new special teams coach? Because, the unfortunate guy got here, transfers from Washington, going to be in, and he'll be in a competition with Camden Cook, but feels like I got the upper hand. And now, because of what Nebraska apparently would like to do with their punting and go to more of a rugby-style punter, McAllister's looking for a new home. What does that tell you about Mike Eckler and the way he is viewed by his head coach?
Well, Mike's, I think, 53. He's been, he's focused on special teams for the last, I'll just say several years. It hasn't always been that way, but he reached a point a few years ago where he said, I want to be the best special teams coach in the country. He's coached it at a high level, so he's earned a lot of trust. That's a great example, by the way, of what you don't know. I don't think any of us saw that coming. Maybe you guys did. I didn't. I didn't know. No. So that's a great example that, okay, they're going to rugby style. Nebraska's going to rugby style punting. There's no place for McAllister in a rugby, in a change of scheme.
Mm-hmm.
The scheme that Eckler is going to use is different than what Foley used. Foley recruited McAllister. I didn't know Eckler was going to go to rugby style. It's a great example of what I'm suggesting. It caught me yesterday. What? Wait a second. Why is McAllister leave? Oh, because they're going to bring in another punter who's a rugby style guy. Yeah. That'll be the next thing. We'll find, I don't know who it is, but they're going to have to bring in a rugby style punter, and I think they do have one in their sights, if not already locked up. So that's a great example of it. But it does indicate that Rule has a high level of trust in Eckler, but that's what I'd expect.
Yep.
I mean, Eckler's a veteran coach. He's in his 50s. If he was in his 30s, then it would be more of a conversation.
The Nico Amaliava situation, I think when it first happened, there were a lot of people who stood up and said, yeah, good for Tennessee. And there were plenty of coaches, I'm sure, across the country were like, all right, yeah, we get to stand up to players. But now, as the days have kind of gone on, you've seen that Nico, is more than likely going to end up at UCLA for a similar dollar figure that he was making at Tennessee. And now Tennessee doesn't have a ton of options in terms of experience with the guys that they currently have. And if you look at the portal, it doesn't look so great in terms of guys they can pick up. Do you think over these last couple of days, some college coaches who were maybe happy, or programs that were happy that a team stood up to a player, are now looking at it and being like, Tennessee doesn't look so good. Maybe we do have to give in a little bit at times.
It's complicated. It's the one thing I don't, and I saw Urban Meyer commented on this. And I talked about it on the radio show the other day. Heupel is a lot of pats on the back, Josh Heupel, with the way he's handled this, and he has handled it very well with a lot of grace. Mm-hmm. And I think his fan base is appreciative of that. But the appreciation won't last if Tennessee struggles out of the gate. If they're losing, like Urban Meyer said, if they're losing in the swamp, or if they're losing to Florida, and the quarterback's throwing 2 interceptions, people aren't going to be saying, "Well, yeah, but Heupel handled that Nico situation really well." No, they're just going to be angry that they don't have the quarterback that they need to win and get back to the playoff. Now, as far as what other coach, I don't know how. I've been sort of careful not just to say, "Oh God, I'm so glad Heupel made a stand," and just rake Nico over the coals. I understand that sentiment, but usually behind the scenes, the conversation's a little more nuanced than that. Mm-hmm. And I don't begrudge someone for trying to get all the money they can. That's what we do. And I don't think it's Nico that drives it. I think it's his father and his handlers. So no, I didn't hear. Now I have not heard. You kind of broke some news on me there. I didn't know UCLA was going to pay him an amount commensurate.
Well, it was what we've seen is I've seen 1.8. I've seen close to 2 million. He was making 2.4 at Tennessee. I mean, he's clearly not getting a raise. So I mean, those are just preliminary reports that it's going to be around
right
there.
Yeah, it is preliminary because there's nothing final on UCLA.
No, not at all. More than likely he'll end up there.
Right. I mean, I hope he ends up there because I don't know where he'll end up if he doesn't end up there. He's good enough that he should end up somewhere. I don't want this to go badly for him. I'm not that guy. It's not like his fault that this ridiculous situation in college football has transpired. It's not his fault. If some of these kids are taking advantage of a situation, and it's not a great look, but I mean, I'm never look, if I had a chance to if I thought I could go from 2.5 million to 4 million,
didn't you do that?
I definitely think about it. I mean, so I know this is unappealing to a lot of people to hear somebody talk like that, but I'm not going to judge him too harshly. You try to get all you can in that sport.
Hey, how many of the years you've been covering Nebraska football, how many fathers of players have you gotten to know that you know their name? Not because, hey, they said, hey, thank you for writing a really nice column about my son in the Journal Star or on 3, but just because they're pains in the ass. Give me some names.
Oh, no, none like that.
Oh, come on.
Oh, there's got to be at least one.
Taylor's dad didn't get at you?
Who?
Taylor Martinez's dad?
No, he didn't. I never had a problem. I never had a problem with him. Over the years, I know Joe Gans's dad. I knew him really well, but never in a pain in the what way. I knew Sam Keller's dad, never in a bad way. Just knew him, liked him. Obviously, I know Dominic really well. Dominic Raiola really well. I knew Zach Taylor's dad.
But nobody where they were like, just they just bugged the heck out of you.
No, I don't.
Zach Taylor's
I don't
dad, by
remember.
the way, great guy.
No, I don't remember. I can't remember over the years that being an issue really with me at all.
Until I met this one guy. And that...
there's the McCaffrey situation got a little out of hand.
Yeah.
But that's not a quarterback.
Well,
kind of a quarterback.
He was the future quarterback.
He was.
I got a nasty email. But that's about it. That's about it.
In Field Yates's latest top 200 prospect board for the NFL draft, only Ty Robinson sits within that ranking, meaning that more than likely, if the Huskers are going to get more than Robinson picked in the draft, it might come round 6, round 7 with Fedoni, Hill, Nair, and whoever else you may want to throw in there on the back end, Hupmaker too. I mean, probably going to be an undrafted free agent. If Robinson is the only one that ends up getting drafted, do you think this is a setback at all for the program, considering how much they've put stock into wanting to get guys drafted into the NFL?
Well, we've had that setback. So is it just another setback? I mean, we have that. We had that last year, and we had it in 2019 where there's nobody drafted. So is it another setback? Yeah. Yes, it's a setback. I mean, it's not good. It's something that I don't think it's going to happen, by the way, Matt. Okay. I think they're going to guys drafted. I think what we're talking about is progress right now. It's not great progress, but it's better than last year, right? When there's nobody drafted. Now we're talking, 100%. I think it's kind of pleasant that we're talking about, I think they'll get 2 or 3 or 4 guys drafted. That's better. That is progress. I think I'd be really, really surprised if Fedoni doesn't get drafted.
Well, I think he will.
I would be. I mean, I think it's. I mean, obviously Robinson's going to get drafted.
Oh yeah, no, that's done and dusted. I'm saying if just Ty, because I'm looking. You look at Fedoni, like he's mocked to go 7, right? Tommy Hill has kind of fallen a little bit out of those mocks and is in the back end of that. I'm just throwing out because the reason I ask you the question, Sip, is because they talk about it a lot. And it seems like it's something that when they talk to prospects and when they talk to recruits and even when they talk to the guys that they're just trying to keep on the team for an extra year, they go, we want to get to the draft. We want to get to the NFL. We want to give you these opportunities, right? And it's not so much to do with what, it's happened in the past. It's more so to do with the fact that there's been such an emphasis on it and such an important thing. And if you were only to get 1 drafted and none of the other borderline guys, I think that's more than just a setback. I think it's a pretty bad look on that message.
If Matt Rule were a little further along than his 3rd year, it'd be a little more alarming to me. But they have enough guys in that conversation that it doesn't. There's guys in the conversation. If a guy's a 7th projected 7th round and goes somewhere as a free agent, doesn't. I mean, is there a big difference?
Sure.
Not really.
No.
In my mind. They have enough guys. What I'm suggesting, Matt, is they have enough guys that are legitimately in the conversation that nothing about it alarms me.
Yeah.
If Ty's the only one who ultimately is drafted, it's not great. But this is Rule's still developing players he recruited.
Sure.
There's going to be more guys in the conversation in the next 2 or 3 years. If he was in his 7th year, Matt, and we were having this conversation, it would concern me more. But this is his 3rd year, so a lot of this is residual frost.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it doesn't bother me too much. In fact, Ty's a frost guy. I mean, that's no. So no, it doesn't bother me.
We could have residual frost on Saturday morning, according to our weather guys here in Omaha. Sip. Hey, we'll get chatter on this. I talked to somebody in Lincoln yesterday, and we were talking about the Husker games, and they said, Gary, we don't know exactly how this is going to go and who's going to show up. Is Nebraska playing Kansas in volleyball next Saturday bigger than the Husker Combine or Husker Games or whatever is going on?
Yeah, it is. It feels that way.
It is.
It's too bad. I mean, and basically the question is, because you have your ear to the ground in Lincoln, and I know that, Bill Bush, your co-host on 93.7 The Ticket with the wonderful Jake Sorensen, he has some thoughts on the spring, what's happening in football with the spring games becoming showcases. But, I mean, what are you hearing? Like, what do they expect next Saturday in Lincoln for, like, fans and seats?
Well, I don't think I haven't heard about, like, Troy Dannon's expectation. I don't know that I'm thinking out loud. That's always a concern and scary. But if I'm Matt Rule, I don't know that I'm really supposed to be concerned about what it looks like. Matt Rule's job is to get his football program to a point, whatever that takes, to win in the fall. And if he feels that the best way to do that, the best way to protect his guys and protect his rosters before go a spring game, I understand that. It's not great for the fans, and I think that for sure Dannon has to be cognizant of that. I think Rule does to a certain extent. I am. It's troubling to look at what's going on around the country and to understand that's probably going to happen here. What am I talking about? Oklahoma going from 75,000 fans attending last year's spring game to 12 to 15,000 attending the Crimson Combine. They call it the Crimson Combine, so it wasn't a spring game. Even Ohio State's numbers for a spring game, it goes from 80,000 last year to 40,000 this year. And why? They won a national title. What's going on now? I mean, what's happening? The numbers that we've seen so far are sort of alarming to me, and I can't really. Some of it you can explain. Going from a spring game to this sort of combine, I get that. I get why the crowd's going to go down, but God, that far, and then Ohio State. I don't even know what to say about that, except I wonder a little bit, are people just sort of turned off by what they're seeing in college football, in college sports in general? Is there, I know that anecdotally, people I talk to in my life are turned off. They're just turned off by it all. And so at what point does that start showing up in attendance figures and TV ratings? Well, it hasn't really shown up that much, but I wouldn't have expected it to be immediate. I wonder now if we're going to start seeing it now. That's what I'm a little worried about.
Yeah, it'll be definitely something to watch. Sip, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you next Thursday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy Easter. Happy Easter.
All right. Take care, guys.
See you, Steve.
Not much of a religious guy, but that's okay. Brian Edwards is going to join us here in a little bit. I want to read that email. Old McCaffreys were not happy. You remember that back in the day? Yeah.
That would have been I mean, you hear the stories of them growing up and how they were on a strict diet, right? And how when they were playing pee-wee football, they taped their jerseys to their pads so the other pee-wee kids wouldn't snatch them down. Like, just hearing Christian talking about his father and how, like, it was all football obsessed and how crazy it was, it's like, yeah, doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me.
One other note before we get to Brian Edwards in the next segment. So, did you know this? Rain Man over there probably does.
Let me go first, Jimmy, and then you can Rain Man it.
No, yeah, you go ahead.
Do you know what the connection is? Why this is Corso's last game?
I think I saw the tweet. Was the first game he did at Ohio State.
So the first headgear pick was Brutus.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has to be Brutus again, right?
It has to be.
Or will it be Bevo?
I mean,
and he'll just go out as a villain.
Which would actually be on brand for back in the day because he relished it.
Texas, I mean, if Lee thinks Texas is going to win, Lee's got to pick Texas. He's got to pick Bevo,
but
right?
He's not going against
Wouldn't
Brutus.
he go? Wouldn't that go against the principle of the tradition? Wouldn't that go against who he is?
That day it might be thrown out the window.
Not picking the team he thinks is going to win because
he only has to go 1-0 for the season.
Lee Corso's best moments is him not giving a damn where he's at. It's him putting on the other team's headgear because he thinks they're going to win. Those are some of the best moments.
Break will come back. Brian Edwards has got picks and a recap on what he saw in Miami at UFC 314. Not at the Hard Rock there off of the freeway in Hollywood. Good spot. Really, really good spot. If you're ever in that part of Florida, South Florida.
I've never been
there.
That
Hard Rock, which is in the shape of a guitar.
Never been there.
Great place.
It's popping.
We'll talk to B. Edwards. He's got picks for the weekend coming up next. All right, time to talk to our good friend from Vegas Insider, Major Wager, among others. You can hear him every Thursday at this time. Brian Edwards joins us now. Vegas B. Edwards on Twitter. Good morning.
Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning, fellas. How we doing?
We're doing good.
Hey, I know you're doing good because your night was a lot better than Michael Chandler Saturday night in Miami.
It was, but it was much better than that. But Croc killed me. Props to Dominic Reyes with a huge win for him. That I had him tied to some parlays, so it was not a great night, but it was a fun night.
You know what? If it makes you feel any better, when he got knocked out, I thought of you. I thought of you immediately. I go, Brian's probably not happy, but hey, I took the pin blat pick, so made a little cha-ching. So thank you for that, bud. Appreciate it.
Okay, good deal. Good
Beautiful.
deal. He looked fantastic.
All right, so he did pummeling Chandler. So Patty the Batty, what do you think is next for him? I mean, is he the next star after what he has done and what he did on a huge stage in Miami Saturday night?
Well, right now he's got a star potential for sure. Or I mean, he kind of is the quasi star already. Yeah. You know, I'm thinking that Topuria. Gosh, excuse me. Sorry. I think Topuria is going to get Islam next.
Yeah.
And so I don't know who that is going to have him facing. I mean, maybe Dan Hooker.
Can I give you a
when
couple?
He's better. I'm sorry, Gary. Who did you suggest there?
Let me give you a couple. It's Matt here. Poirier for his retirement fight, or he gets Gaethje. How do you think about that?
Oh, I would be fine with either of those. I really just don't want it to be Dustin and Max. We've already seen that twice, and I know that's been the heavy rumor. Yeah. I do not want to see Dustin and Max again. So just anybody good besides Dustin. But Dustin did say legends only. But then I also heard, I didn't hear him say it, but I saw that he said that Patty was a legit contender and was very complimentary of his performance the other night.
Hey, what was the atmosphere like?
It was awesome. It was, and I hate South Florida, but it was electric. It was fantastic. Loved it. I missed the Trump walkout. I was getting a beer between fights, so I missed that. But the Gator Boys got a good pop when they put them on the big screen.
That's awesome. All right, let's talk about the play-in games where we maybe have a 10 seed that makes a run. Let's first start with your beloved Atlanta Hawks. Didn't go so well the other night in Orlando. Trae Young got tossed. They're at home. Heat won last night. Hero has 38. Heat is a slight underdog. Walk me through what happens tomorrow night in downtown Atlanta.
I think the Heat prevail and might do so in impressive fashion. They looked fantastic last night. Forget the regular season. Head coaching advantage with Spoelstra. Miami beat the Hawks by double digits in the last two meetings, but I will concede those were both in Miami, and Atlanta did win both meetings in Hotlanta. But those were real early in the season. I've got to go with the Heat here.
All right, let's go to the other one, Dallas and Memphis. Dallas rolls Sacramento last night. I mean, that was just ugly. At one point being up by 26. Sacramento fires their GM. They're dysfunctional with the ownership. Doug Christie isn't going to be the head coach. But Dallas is interesting because I wonder if Kyrie doesn't get hurt and AD doesn't get hurt 9 seconds into his Dallas career, they're not a bad team. So winning last night, we all went, But now they got to go to Memphis, who might have gotten the old idiot at the end in San Francisco the other night. Dallas is a underdog going to Memphis. How do you see this game playing out? Because I'm very intrigued now by what I saw out of the Mavs last night.
Yeah, agreed. I like the Mavs here catching the points. I'm not going to say they're going to win outright, but definitely like them plus, let's see, 6.5. But, it looks like Circa and Bet Online are at 7, so maybe you can get a 7. I mean, with the exception of Kyrie, they are now healthy, which they really have not hardly been at all since they got Davis. I mean, at least with 4 of the 5 guys. And you got to like their interior defense. I mean, with Lively, Anthony Davis, and then Gafford coming off the bench. Klay Thompson shot it well last night. I like I know Sacramento's not very good, but I like what I saw last night, and we're getting 6.5 or 7. Let's go Dallas plus the point.
Brian, the playoffs officially start tomorrow, but let's talk about a game that's going to be played on Sunday. And such an interesting matchup because you have the 7-seeded Warriors against the 2-seeded Houston Rockets, but the Warriors are actually favored to win the series. They've been playing incredible ball ever since Jimmy Butler has been acquired in the trade deadline, and you got the classic playoff Jimmy. But you got a Houston team where, they're young and they don't have a ton of playoff experience, but they're a 2-seed for a reason. Well, how are you looking at this game?
Well, when Golden State played at Houston with Jimmy Butler, they won 105-98. When they played at Houston without him, they lost 91-90. Since acquiring Butler in the games he's played, 24-7 straight up, 18-13 against the spread. On the road this year, Golden State 24-16-1 ATS. I got to go Warriors here plus the 1, and I'm going to lay off the series price, but I certainly with them pretty juicy on the series price. But I like the Warriors in game 1 plus 1.
Okay, then you got another game tomorrow. Pretty interesting matchup. 6-seeded Detroit. It's been forever, it feels like, since they've been in the playoffs, taking on the 3-seed Knicks. The Knicks have had a good year, but, clearly when they've played, especially down the stretch, the Cavaliers and Celtics, it's just they haven't been able to beat them and compete with that upper echelon of the conference. And then you got Detroit, who, kind of limped into the playoffs. I think they lost 4 of their last 5 games. New York is laying 7 points at the Garden.
Love Detroit plus 7 here. Okay. I also got a really small play on Detroit plus 3. I see plus 320 at the Westgate and South Point, but should be getting plus 300 for sure. So New York killed them at Detroit in the first meeting of the regular season, really early in the regular season. But Detroit has won the last 3, including both at MSG. On December 7th, they won 120-111 at New York. Cade Cunningham had a triple-double, 29, 15 assists, 10 boards. And that was with Brunson having a good game, 31 points and 10 assists. And then the next one at MSG, Detroit won 124-119. And both of those road wins were 8-point underdog spots. Cunningham had 36 and 4 assists. And Brunson had another great game, 31 points and 11 assists, but it still wasn't enough. And then last week, when nobody was resting starters, Pistons at home, 115-106 as a 3.5-point favorite. And Cunningham again with 36 and 8 assists. New York has no answer for Cade Cunningham. I know Detroit has little to no experience in the playoffs, but I like them in the series a little bit, and I really like them plus 7 at the Garden on, I believe, Saturday, either Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, Saturday at 5 o'clock.
And, so I like the Pistons.
Hey, we'll get you out on this. Let's talk futures. And if you were not in Miami, you might have been at the Swamp on Saturday because your favorite athletic director actually got booed. People are a little upset that Scott Strickland got booed while they were honoring the basketball team. But it's just not fair because yesterday you picked up a really good transfer from Princeton, Xavier Lee, who 6'4", 6'5", averaged about 17 points a game for Princeton. Really, really good. He'll fit perfectly with Todd Golden. The future price is pretty good for Florida to repeat.
Yeah, I like it at 25-1. And if Condon's testing the waters, currently late first, early second, I know we're getting a good NIL package together for him. He loves his teammate, and unless his workout, elevate him into the mid-first round, I'm pretty sure he's going to come back. Now, Haupt may test the waters as well, but I'm 98% sure he comes back. And him and Lee, the Princeton transfer, were high school teammates. Yeah. So with that in mind, if Condon and Haupt are both back, we've still got 3 roster spots open and are in the mix for some top portal guys. And, right as it stands now, it's a lot of losses, Clayton, Martin, and Richard, but that's all the losses so far. If we get Condon back, I think we have the best front court in the country. We've added Lee to the backcourt. I think Denzel Aberdeen's going to be an all-SEC guy after, being that fourth guard, but still, playing really good ball. And when in those 4 games, when either Martin and or Clayton were out, Aberdeen averaged over 17 points per game.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be an all SEC guy. We've got 2 really good recruits coming in, high school guys. And I like Florida's chances. And I also think this number will get reduced once Condon, if and when Condon returns, and we add some more portal guys. I think this number is going to be more like 15-1. So I think you grab the Gators at 25-1 now. I don't think that the number will be any better than that at any point.
Hey, fantastic stuff. Appreciate our conversation as always. Have a great weekend and happy Easter.
Thanks, fellas. Y'all have a great weekend as well.
Thank you, Brian.
That's Brian Edwards, also not religious. Why can't I get back a happy Easter to you as well?
Happy Easter to you as well, Gary.
Well, we'll do that tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll also do a lot because WrestleMania will be a day away. By the way, if you're grabbing futures, what does Tampa Bay, Dallas, SoFi Stadium, the Link have all in common?
What?
They have post-COVID hosted WrestleMania, and those football teams in NFL stadiums have gone to the playoffs the following year.
Where is it?
Vegas.
Oh, okay.
You know
Pete
what?
Carroll,
You know
taking
what?
them back.
I'm going to be honest with you. That might not be a bad bet. If we're talking about weird teams that could, they got Gino.
The people
they
say
got
that
Carroll.
WrestleMania rules the world.
If they could figure out that secondary,
Get thee to Warhorse, young
I don't
man.
hate it, Gary.
All right.
Wow.
Thanks for everybody putting up with us. Remember, every day is a game day, and just remember your favorite moments of the Jack McAllister area at Nebraska, because they were probably not as meaningful or as plentiful as you would like. We will see you tomorrow at 6. The crossover is coming up next on 1620 The Zone.